Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Audible. मेरे को उसका प्रिंट आउट चाहिए. Hello. Very good morning, everyone. How are you all? Everyone fine? Super fine. Now, last class we started India 37. Still now not completed, but morning should be started with all the doubts which you have. For that, of course, you require clarification. If you have done revision last day, the doubt will come. If you have not done revision, means no doubt will come. If you are not asking doubt, I will understand that you have not done revision. Doubt will come. If doubt is not coming, means you are not understanding. Got it? If the doubt is not coming, means actually you have not applied your what? Mind. Only either you have not read or you have just gone through without understanding. The doubt should come. Small doubt, big doubt, silly doubt, silly doubt, whatever doubt is there, ask me. I will wait for 2 3 minutes. If you are asking, okay, otherwise I will proceed. Okay, got it? When you are asking doubt, na, to normally what happen, one fear also goes out. Normally we don't ask doubt. Why? Because what others will think about that doubt. This is my doubt. I should not waste the time of others. You are not supposed to think about others. Correct na? It's your life. Think about your life. Don't think about others' life. Okay? Got it? बोलना रे? Any doubt? No sir. Ah, मजा आता है. No sir. No sir. Let us do a revision whatever we have done in last class. So we started with the meaning of provisions. Provisions are liability. Provisions are liability of uncertain amount of timing. Liability means liabilities are present obligation arising from past event, the settlement of which are expected to result in outflow of resource from the entity. Correct. Present obligation means obligation is probable on reporting date. Probable means chances are more than 50%, or we can say chances of occurrence of that event is more than chances of non-occurrence of that event. Correct now. Then obligation are of two type: legal obligation as well as constructive obligation. Both obligation need to be considered for this chapter. For this chapter, legal obligation will also include contractual obligation as well as any obligation which arises due to legislation or any other part of law. Correct. Constructive obligation is derived from entity's own action. Either it can be through past practice or published policy or any specific statement. Correct. We need to satisfy how many conditions for recognition of provision? Three conditions. First condition, there must be a present obligation arising from past events. Second condition, outflow of resource must be probable. Third condition, a reliable estimation should be made. However, we have understood that only those obligations which exist independently from entities future conduct of business should be recognized, otherwise should not be recognized. Then legal obligation also we have understood. Legal obligation arises only when the act is enacted, or it is virtually certain that it will be enacted by the end of reporting period. Correct. Means it by the end of reporting period it is understood that it will be shortly enacted. Contingent liability, we have understood that it is either a present obligation arising from past event which is not recognized as provision. Why? Either outflow of resource is not probable or reliable estimation cannot be made, or it is a possible obligation arising from past event. Know that we have understood that we should not recognize any contingent liability, only we should disclose it where? In notes to account, means in financial statement, unless the outflow is removed. This point have you understood? Contingent asset are possible asset arising from past event, understood. However, for recognition and disclosure, what India 37 says that if the inflows are virtually certain, then it is not a contingent asset, it is an asset, recognize it. But if the inflows are probable, then it is not an asset, it is a contingent asset, do not recognize, only disclose where? In notes to account. However, if it is not probable, then no treatment is required. Correct. Then we started measurement. Measurement, we have done that we should measure as per the best estimate of the expenditure which is required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting period. Estimation are determined by management judgment. However, it should be supported by what? Either by experience of past transaction or opinion of the expert or any additional evidence provided by event occurring after reporting date. Correct? This much we have done. Correct. Then we started how to measure. So you have understood how to measure also. We have taken one question also. Question number 32 you have understood. Correct now. So how to measure means whenever obligation involve large population, then we calculate expected value of obligation, which is nothing but weighted average of all possible outcome. Can you see that outcome will be given in the question that we are not supposed to determine. That outcome will be given with the probability, only we need to apply probability in the outcome and you will get the answer. So I will say this will be based on the information given the question. Correct. However, when obligation is a single obligation with two possible outcome, only two possible outcome, single obligation with two possible outcome, then we'll not apply average, then we'll find out the most likely outcome, and the most likely outcome will become the amount of provision. So amount of provision. Correct. And provision is created based on most likely outcome. So in this what I have said that actually there is no question given where? There is no question given where? In ICI study material. Correct now? No question has been given. Correct. However, one question already I have taken last class. Now suppose if I say in this way, ki there is a legal case pending in the High Court. Only one case is pending. So single obligation. Correct. Now as per the lawyer, they have given three possible outcome. Quite possible. Correct. If 40% high damages, then 30% low damages, and balance is what? 30% no damages. Quite possible or not? Now it becomes three possible outcomes. So whenever there is three possible outcome, then we'll not apply most likely outcome matter. Then in this case, we'll apply what? Weighted average. Even though there is a single obligation. Even though there is a single obligation, so of course you can apply if the amount is given, we can apply or not. Suppose if I have given what? 10 lakh, and suppose this is 2 lakh, and this is nil, this is nil. Then amount of provision will be the expected value. Now in this we'll calculate what? Expected value of obligation, which is nothing but weighted average of all possible outcome. It will be 40% of what? 10 lakh plus 30% of what? 2 lakh plus 30% of what? Nil. So this amount will come how much? This is 4 plus this 2 means 4.6. 4.6 lakhs. Correct? Now if suppose what is required? Discounting is required, then we'll do discounting also. That will be also as per the information given in the question. Correct now. However, what India 27 says that the present value should be the means we should calculate present value of future expenditure if the time value of money is material. If the time value of money is material. Let me take one question. Come to question number 20. Question number 20. Good question. This is expected in exam. And when I say expected, it means it is expected. Okay. Got it? So expected. It is my expectation that such type of questions may come in exam. Got it? So what they have given? Marico has an obligation to restore environmental damage in the area surrounding its factory. Expert advice indicate that restoration will be carried out in two distinct phases. The first phase required expenditure of 2 million to remove the contaminated soil from the area, and the second phase commencing 3 years later from the end of first phase. So second phase will start from the end of first phase. To replant the area with suitable trees and vegetation. The estimated cost of replanting is 3.5 million. Correct? Got it? First was 2 million. Second phase 3.5 million. Marico uses a cost of capital before taxation 10% and the expenditure when incurred will attract a tax relief at the company's marginal tax rate of 30%. Correct? Now they have given tax rate. So should we calculate rate of discount? Rate of discount how much given? 10%. So that is pre-tax rate of discount. So should we calculate rate of discount before tax or after tax? Before tax. Means whether you want any information from India regarding this? No, you know this fact. Why you have said before tax? Because the provision is charged to PL account before tax. Therefore, rate of discount should be also before tax. And you have said before tax. Let's see what India 37 says. Correct now. Provision should be measured. Before tax. Discount rate should be pre-tax. Low. Whether I have read this point? I have not read this point before the question. Correct now. Means any question in exam, if suppose you don't remember the content of India's 37, quite possible. It is not possible to memorize everything, and it is possible to memorize, but it is not possible to retain it. Possible to memorize, but not possible to retain at a particular day. In that case, apply your common sense. Right now, though, I have not done this point, na. I have not read before the question, but you have said correctly. Are you getting? Suppose they have given rate of discount post tax. So will you apply post tax rate of discount or you will convert it? You will convert it. Correct now. Got it? Have you understood what I am saying? Yes, sir. So can I say the tax whatever rate is given is only given to confuse you? Correct? Morocco has not recognized any provision for such costs in the past, and today date is 31st March 2002. This reporting date is what? 31st March 2002. The first phase of the cleanup will commence in a few months time and will be completed on 31st March 2003 when the first payment of 2 million will be made. Phase 2 cost will be paid 3 years later from the end of first phase. Calculate the amount of provision at 31st March 2002 for the restoration cost. It is very simple question now. It is not at all complicated. So if it is say question number 20 we are doing, what is today's date? 31st March 2002. The first phase will complete on 31st March 2003. Correct now. And second phase will be 3 after this. So this is 2004, 2005. This will be 31st March 2006. What is the expenditure? We have estimated it is 2 million now. 2 million. And here what is the expenditure? 3.5 million. And we need to calculate the amount of provision at this point of time. So you are expert. You are expert in calculating what? Present value. We are expert in calculating present value. So this become year end, correct? And we need to write down future expenditure, future cash outflow. Also you can write down cash outflow. Bolo yes or no? And you need to write down present value factor at what rate? 10%. Then you can calculate present value. Yes, sir. So year end is what? Right now we are calculating this as on which year? So this is as on, this calculation is as on reporting date. What is the reporting date? 31st March 2002. So this is Y0 na. This is Y0. 31st March 2002 is Y0. Correct? Got it? And we need to calculate on 31st March 2003 first year end. Then 31st March 2004 second year end. Then 31st March 2005 and then 31st March 2006. 4 year. First year how much? 2 million. 2 million means how many lakhs? 20 lakhs. We can convert in what? Lakhs. This is nil, and this become what? 35 lakhs. Have you understood present value factor? So you are expert 909. Then 0.826. Then 0.751. Then 0.683. Then you can calculate. And what is the amount? Can you give me by using your calculator? This become the amount of provision. What is the amount of provision? What is the amount of provision? Calculate. बता. 42 lakh 80,000. 42 lakh 8,728. Got it. Look, answer. 5 marks question in exam. What is it? Complicated. And believe me, for this, the chapter was not required only. You could have done by your own. Even though you forgotten India's 37. Am I right or not? The same question would have come in exam. For that, whether you require a revision. If I will say if this same question come, your answer will be this only. Am I right or not? Correct if you apply your brain. Got it? Correct. Provided you are not doing calculation mistake. And why you will do calculation mistake? You have calculator in exam. If calculator is not there, then we can do calculation mistake. Nah. So calculation mistake should not be done in exam. Correct? Understood? Correct. Now these are the discounting factor. Understood? Discounting factor, you know how to calculate. Anyone who don't know how to calculate discounting factor? I am asking only for the first time, then I will not ask. And if you are not raising it, I will assume you know what is discount. Of course you know, sir. You know how to calculate discounting factor. I'm not supposed to explain this. But can I say if discounting factor means rounding off should be done for how many decimal? This is always a doubt. Correct? So if given, if what is given? What is given? Discounting factor is given. Then use whatever given. Use whatever given. If they have given 2 decimal, use 2 decimal. If they have given 3 decimal, use 3 decimal. If they have given 4 decimal, you need to use 4 decimal. Now if they have given 4 decimal, you calculated 3 decimal by your own, 0 marks. Even though your answer is correct from your point of view. Means whatever they have given, use that information. You are not supposed to apply your own information. Suppose they have given wrong discounting factor, use wrong discounting factor. You are not supposed to change the question. You don't have any right to change the information given the question. If wrong, use wrong information. You don't have right to change the information given in the question. So what I have said, whatever given, use it. Don't calculate discounting factor. Got it? But if not given, just in this question it was not given na. Then we should take what? Assumption. And normally if you see ICA solutions, sometimes they are using 2 decimals, sometimes they are using 3 decimals, sometimes they are using 4 decimals, sometimes they are using entire decimal. Correct now. It depends upon what we should assume. So normally from student point of view and from FM experience, because you have an experience in FM also. So I think in your FM also your teacher has said use either 3 or 4 decimal. So we'll continue that assumption. 3 or 4 decimal. Either 3 or 4. Either 3 or 4. Chalega. So in class we'll make a standard. Should we take 3 or 4? 3 ले ले for this class, but it might happen the ICS solution they have used 4 or they have used entire decimal. Don't compare with the answer. Your answer is also correct, their answer is also correct if they have not given what? Discounting factor. So let us make either you can use 3 decimal or 4 decimal from my point of view. Understood? Now if you are using 2 decimal they will not deduct marks because they have not given, you have taken assumption, but my suggestion is that use either 3 or 4 for more accurate answer. For more accurate answer, but whatever you are using, write down that. Whatever you are using, write down that. Now you are writing 3 decimal, but what you do, pata hai? What you do? You are writing 3 decimal, but in calculator you are taking entire decimal. M plus. No. You are writing 3 decimal, use that. You are writing 4 decimal, use that. Then write entire decimal. 10 decimal, write down na. If you are using entire, then write down 10 decimal. So if you are using 3 decimal, use 3 decimal na. Are you able to understand? Dekho, just try to understand. I don't know whether the marks will be deducted or not. But why to take risk? Why to take risk? We can't fight after result now. Can we fight after result? Any marks has been deducted. They will say you have taken this, but your answer is not matching now. Are you able to? Don't take risk. Of course, if I will check the paper, I will not deduct your marks. Because I am a CA, you are also CA. But who is checking paper, we don't know. And the paper is checked by the person who might have taken multiple attempt, 5 attempt. तो निकालेगा ना, बोले yes or no? He might have taken 5 attempt ना, बोले yes or no? He will not let you pass ना easily. अरे बोलना रे. Are you able to understand? Every CS knows that in Article C what happened? We are exploited. Articles are exploited. But then also you also become CA. You come to practice and you also exploit what? The same article. You know that we were exploited. But then also we exploit whom? The articles na. The same thing because चलता है. So don't take risk. Correct. So I will not discuss about this. Don't ask me this type of faltu doubt in other questions now. Correct. In class, let us make one assumption. We'll use 3 decimal. So that in class, everyone answer is same. चलेगा? Yes sir. What they have used, check करो. देखो, there is what 3, but the answer is not matching. So don't answer तो match होना चाहिए. चलो, means they have also done some rounding off. यहाँ पर they have done some rounding off. Correct. So we'll not think about the answer, how the answer is coming, how this answer has been coming, should our answer should match or not. If the discounting factor is not given, we can take assumption and our answer is also correct. Correct. But the question was very easy and I have said expected. Easy question is also expected in exam. Got it? However, all the easy questions are only expected. Complicated questions though they don't ask. And whenever I will do complicated question, I will say it is not expected. I will only say. Are you able to understand what I am saying? So only they ask what? Simple question. So I hope you have understood this two point that provisions should be measured before tax and the discount rate should be pre-tax. Got it? Now point number 4, what they have given, gain from expected sale of asset. Now it is quite possible that due to some transaction you need to recognize some provision as per India's 37. But it is quite possible that there may be some gain on sale of asset in future. So gain on sale of assets should be considered for recognition of provision. Have you understood? Means in that transaction there may be some gain on sale of asset. Quite possible. But it is quite possible that for particular contingencies we need to also apply what India's 37. So whatever expected gain on sale of assets should be considered to calculate provision or should not be considered. What do you think? The expected gain on sale of asset, because in that transaction there may be some expected gain on sale of asset. So that is inflow. So should we consider that inflow to calculate the amount of provision, because that inflow will decrease what? The net outflow. Are बोलना रे? That inflow might decrease what? Net outflow. So should we consider gain on sale of asset for calculation of the amount of provision? What do you think? Yes or no? No. What do you think? No. Same thing is given under India's 37. Don't read. Huh? If you are reading the interest last, if you are reading the para, whatever is given the interest last, then what will happen in exam also you require help. I mean, right now if you have said no without reading, the same thing will apply in exam na. अरे बोलना रे. So that I am saying, देखो, it is not easy to retain every point in exam hall. It is quite not possible in FR, तो not possible because this is the starting. अभी तो it is starting only, हाँ. धीरे धीरे will increase the level and the concept will increase. Advanced concept is going to come in your life. Understood? So how to apply that you need to understand. How to apply your common sense. That I am explaining in the initial classes. Once I will end initial classes, 10, 15 class over, then we'll come towards CA final chapters. Means which you have not done where? In CA inter. That time I will only explain. Got it? Yes, sir. The gain from expected sale of assets shall not be taken into account for the measurement of provision. Till now, no question have been asked regarding this point. However, I will say if they ask this point, a student might do some mistake. They are not asking this point in exam questions. If they ask, student might be confused in exam hall. So gain on sale of asset, any gain on sale of asset should be accounted as per Ind AS 16 coming soon. Means if that asset is property, plant and equipment, the gain on sale of asset should be recognized only as per what? The particular Ind AS, correct? Respective Ind AS. So this gain on expected sale of asset should be recognized as per respective Ind AS. Why I am saying respective Ind AS? It is quite possible it is a property, plant and equipment, then Ind AS 16. If it is investment property, then it is Ind AS 40. If it is intangible asset, then Ind AS 38. If it is inventory, then Ind AS 2. So respective Ind AS I am writing. Right now you don't know the Ind AS number, therefore I am not writing that. Got it? Yes, sir. Now the next point is about risk and uncertainties. Now just try to understand. Whatever amount of provision you have calculated might be based on past experience, but can I say it is also depend upon future outcome. Our past will not be exactly equal to what future now. Therefore, there might be some risk and uncertainties regarding the future outcome. Therefore, can I say whatever amount we have calculated based on past experience requires some adjustment. So for example, last class we have taken one example that there was a warranty obligation. There is a warranty obligations now, and as per that question, I am just giving some other information. As per the expert, if there is a major default, suppose the expenditure is 10 lakh. I am changing the amount, okay? Because I don't remember that particular amount. Minor default, then expenditure might be 2 lakh. Got it? And if there is no default, then no amount. And the probability they have given what? Suppose 20%, 40%, and 40%. They have given this probability. Understood? Correct. Now it is based on past experience. So how we need to adjust the risk and uncertainty that surround the particular transaction and event. We need to do some adjustment. So how we can do such adjustment that it actually become approximately equal to the future expenditure. Understood now? So what type of adjustment we can do? So they have given three ways of such adjustment. Either what you can do adjustment in this amount, means you can adjust this. Bolo yes or no? Either you can adjust the amount of future outcome, amount of future expenditure, you can adjust that. Understood? Or what you can do? Whatever present value you have calculated, that you can adjust directly. Bolo yes or no? That adjustment you can do. Or what you can do? Whatever discount rate is given, that can be adjusted. Have you understood? These are the three ways of adjusting for the risk and uncertainties that surround with around the particular transactions and event. Have you understood? Can you say 1 second? This will depend upon the information given the question. If the question is silent about risk and uncertainty, then ignore it. So that will be also as per the information given the question. Means you'll just read the question, you'll understand some adjustment is required. Correct now? Means we'll not do such adjustment by our own. If the information is given, then only such adjustment can be done. Understood? Have you understood? Means when I am saying adjustment, will you increase the amount or decrease the amount? If I am saying risk and uncertainty, what depends? When I am saying risk and uncertainty, so our outflow will increase or decrease? Always increase. So can I say this will be plus? This will be also plus. This will be also plus. But when I am saying adjustment to discount rate, the discount rate should be plus ki minus? Minus. Why? Why? Because when discount rate will increase, then present value will increase. Correct? Till now, this type of question has not been given when they have given the adjustment required. However, normally in exam, they will give risk adjusted discount rate. So they will use one term ki the risk adjusted discount rate is 10%. If they have given risk adjusted discount rate, thank you very much. 1 second. Thank you very much. Now they will give risk adjusted discount rate 10%. It is means risk and uncertainty is already adjusted. Already adjusted. Understood? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. So what is given? The risk and uncertainties that surround many events and circumstances shall be taken into account in reaching the best estimate of a provision. Understood the para? A risk adjustment should be made for the amount that the entity would pay in excess of the expected present value of outflow due to uncertainty attached with the actual outcome. So it is quite possible whatever amount you have calculated, you are actually paying more than that because of the actual outcome. Got it? So because of that reason, some adjustments are required. Risk adjustment can be accounted for in number of ways, such as adding it to the expected present value of future outflow. Have you understood the first point? By adding it to the bolo, by adding it to the expected present value of future outflow. Got it? Correct. Adjusting the estimate of future outflow or adjusting the discount rate. Got it? Simple. However, no, in ICS study material, no good question has been given regarding this. Good question has not been given. They have given very simple question which you can understand by your own. Let me read one question for your satisfaction. Question number 6. X Solar Polar Limited, Power Limited, what you can do whenever I am doing any question, you can write down refer question number 6. So you will understand that for this, if you read this particular question, the concept will be automatically clear. For this, how to measure, we have done two questions. One is we have done question number 32, one we have done question number 20. Correct now? So you can write down the questions whatever we have done beside that concept. So when you are doing revision, so it means if you revise as per my class now, so it will help you for better understanding. There is no need to read entire question now. Correct? So after this concept, if you do read these questions, so you will automatically understand what is the requirement of the exam. What is the requirement of the exam? So just give reference. I will not say bar this thing. So whatever question I am just doing, you can refer that particular question. Sometime I'll give some question for reading. That also you can write down. Got it? Now, which question? Yeah. A power company has a present obligation to dismantle its plant after 35 years of useful life. X Solar Power Limited cannot cancel the obligation or transfer to the third party. Correct? So there is an obligation, present obligation they have written only. X Solar Power Limited has estimated the total cost of dismantling is 50 lakh. The present value which is 30 lakh. So they have given present value also. Thank you very much. 1 second. Based on the facts and circumstances, X Solar Power Limited consider the risk factor of 5%. That is the risk the actual outflow would be more than the expected present value. How should the X Solar Power Limited account for the obligation? So in this adjustment is requiring 50 lakh or 30 lakh? 30 lakh. 30 lakhs will be increased by what? 5%. That will be your answer. But that is lollipop questions now. Lollipop questions. Correct. However, they will not ask this question. But can I say, if suppose they have given an entire question where they have given some adjustment required in that three ways, so you can do it by your own. You can do it by your own. Now. For that, questions are not required. Concept is required. What is supposed to be done? What is supposed to be done? Understood? Yes, sir. This also you have understood. Coming to the next point, reimbursement. However, we have completed now Ind AS 37. Means if I stop here Ind AS 37, now whatever point is given, that is known as special cases. There are some special point which has been discussed under Ind AS 37. Can it that special point is not nothing but based on what? The concept whatever we have done. So Ind AS 37 is completed, but there are some special point from which question can be asked. The first special point is reimbursement. What is reimbursement? Reimbursement means if there is some future expenditure for which you have created a provision. Now why you will create a provision? Because three condition has been satisfied. So what I am assuming that there is a future expected expenditure for which provision is required because three condition has been satisfied. But it is quite possible that future expenditure can be reimbursed by third party. Can be reimbursed by third party. Under the topic reimbursement, either that can be reimbursed by director or by any third party or by insurance company or by insurance company. So that become reimbursement now. Now question arises, should we create provision? First question. First question arises, should, because there is a reimbursement. अरे बोलना रे. So should we create a provision? First question. Yes or no? Should we create a provision? Yes. Answer is correct. ठीक है? देखो मजा आ रहा है. We have not done anything, huh? Means in exam questions come, will you create provision? Yes. Or you say no, we have forgotten the point, we'll do attempt at the end. Because if you just leave that question and you wait for the end may time, you will never come back again. If you say question number 1, then you say question number 1, I will attempt at 10. You come to question number 2, question number 3. Then coming back to question number 1 in exam, very difficult. Because you adjust the time as per the remaining question. It is all entire mind game. So normally I say, if you know, write down why you are waiting. Because at the end also you write down that only, na? Or will you discuss? Arey, pata nahi. What you have written? And just try to understand. Nothing to discuss because all are nalayak. All are at same level, in exam hall. So don't expect that the understood? Yes, sir. First question you have answered correctly. Second question. Now what about reimbursement? You are not supposed to read anything, huh? Once you read, interest lost. अरे ये तो पता था. Let us try ourselves. Means can we draft Indias? Can we draft Indias? Because these Indias are drafted by whom? CA only. CA means member of ICA, and we are going to become the member of ICA. So you can also be one of the member in that particular panel. बोलना yes or no? So can we draft Indias? Let us understand that. So second question, what about reimbursement? Reimbursement is there. So should we account that reimbursement right now? Yes or no? Think and say. Provision is recognized. If it is virtually certain of what? Reimbursement. Means you are applying the concept of contingent asset. Have you read this? No, na. Thank you very much. Same thing is written. Same thing is written. देखो check करो. What she said, कि if the inflows are virtually certain, then recognize that reimbursement. Otherwise, do not recognize the reimbursement. Same thing you have said. Do you require the content of India's 37 in exam? अरे बोलना same questions का one case study came. Understood now? With a very good story starting from some year ago. This was happened. Now it will happen. Correct now? So you require only what common sense. Same thing written. When expenditure is required to be settled, is expected to be reimbursed by third party. This third party can be any party. This third party can be any party other than entity. Correct. Reimbursement means what? Possible inflow. Means this become what? Inflow. Expected inflow. If it is virtually certain, means chances are more than 95%. recognize reimbursement as a separate asset, means do not net off with the amount of provision. Means in the balance sheet, this is horizontal balance sheet, we write down reimbursement asset separately and we write down provision separately. This is balance sheet. This is balance sheet. Correct? Understood? So recognize reimbursement as a separate asset in balance sheet. Asset means balance sheet now. However, such amount is set off against the provision. However, such amount is set off against the provision where in SOPL and net amount will be shown as an expense, because expense will be net amount only. Correct? So in expense means in SOPL what you write down? The net amount. Net amount means the amount of provision less what? Amount of reimbursement. This will become net amount and net amount will become expense in SOPL. Understood? But in balance sheet, can we net off? We cannot net off. Understood? So recognize a separate asset in balance sheet. Correct? Then such amount is set up against provision and net amount is shown in profit and loss in PL. Correct? However, the amount recognized as a reimbursement asset should not be more than what? Amount of provision. Understood point? It should not be more than, because if you are recognizing more than, then we are recognizing expected gain. So amount recognized as a reimbursement asset should not exceed the amount of provision. Correct. However, if it is not virtually certain, then there can be two cases. Either it can be probable or what? Not probable. But if it is probable, then what will do? If it is probable, then what will do? If the inflows are probable, then what will do? Then disclose the amount as a contingent asset. Not probable, then no treatment. Ignore. Same thing. Not recognized as an asset. However, if the inflow is probable, expected reimbursement should be disclosed. Where? In notes to account. Then complicate. Batao. It is complicate. If we create a question like this, it become complicated? No, sir. No. No, no, no. It is not complicated. Come to one question. Come to question number 8. X Beauty Solution Limited is selling cosmetic product under its brand name B, but it is getting its product manufactured from Y Limited. It is an understanding with Y Limited that if the company become liable for any damages claim due to any injury or harm to the customer of the cosmetic product, due to any injury or harm to the customer due to cosmetic product, 30% will reimburse to it by Y Limited. So Y Limited is what? The supplier. It has an understanding. Understanding means what? Batao. Understanding means what? Whether it is a contract, it is not a contract. It is an understanding. Batao. Whether it is a contract, it is not a contract. Huh? Why it is not a contract? Understanding means what? It is an understanding. Contract can be oral also. It can be oral contract also. Na? Understanding means, of course, it is a part of contract. Na? Understanding means both parties are committed to that or not. Understanding means there can be some memorandum of understanding also. But it is a part of contract or not? Bolna yes or no? So understanding means we can understand that yes, it is a part of contract only. Then only understanding, na? Otherwise, no understanding. No, 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 no. It is an understanding. It is an understanding with Y Limited. देखो क्या लिखा हुआ है? Just read it. It is an understanding with Y Limited, ना? Read the entire sentence. I have an understanding with you that I will complete the entire syllabus. देखो contract में there is nothing written, ना? Written. You have got some receipt. Receipt have you got? No receipt. अरे मांगो यार, you are CA student. बोलना yes or no? Now suppose you have already received a receipt. In that nothing is written about the completion of syllabus. Believe me, nothing is written. And which syllabus I will teach, that also not written. And when I will complete, that is also not written. Announcement done na. Announcement, कुछ भी announce I can announce. Understanding or not? It is an understanding or not? अरे बोलना रे. With you only that I will teach as per ICI and I will complete the entire syllabus. If I am not completing the entire syllabus, will you file a case against me or not? You have a right to file or not? You will not file because we have such a relationship. But you have a right to file or not? Yes, understanding with you only. अरे बोलना रे. So it is an understanding with Y limited means what? It is a part of contract only. Understood? Means we need to understand the information. Correct? Okay. During the financial year 2001-2002, a claim of 30 lakh damage demanded by the customer from X Beauty Solution Limited. So can you say this become future outflow? So for 30 lakh, so we should create a provision. For 30 lakh, we should create a provision. Means a liability should be recognized. A liability should be recognized. Correct? So 30 lakh demanded. Now you say the amount is known. So timing may not be known. So under this chapter, you will not say will not create provision because it become a liability. You will answer as per the requirement of India 37. It is quite possible. We don't know the timing of payment. Then we need to estimate that. Then it become what? Provision only na. It become a provision. And in this chapter, always you need to answer as per India 37. As per the requirement of India 37. Got it what I am saying? How should X Beauty Limited account for the claim that become payable? So provision should be recognized, but should we recognize reimbursement as a separate asset? Yes. How much? 30% is how much? 9 lakh. So what will be the net amount of provision? What is the net amount of provision? 30 lakh. Thank you very much. Correct. Same thing is given. We should create the reimbursement of 9 lakh shall be recognized as reimbursement right and provision will be recognized 30 lakh. However, the expense will be how much? 21 lakh. Expense will be how much? 21 lakh. Beautiful question, I will say. Beautiful question. Why? Because this becomes a special case. If you forget or if you are not applying your common sense there, you will do some mistake. Now it become reimbursement wala point na. Suppose you forget the content. So either you'll give wrong answer because in exam hall is a totally different scenario. Exam hall is totally different scenario. There, what is required? What is required? We need to control all our emotions. If you can hold it now, you will give right answer. But we are not able to control our emotions only. Question number 1 is difficult, then the question number 2 is easy, then also we write down wrong. We need to control our emotions. If you can control that, then you can apply your common sense. Are you able to? So exam hall is a totally different scenario. This class is totally different scenario. Got it? But very simple question. Understood? So question number 8. One more question I will do, but not now. Chalega? So just write down refer question number 8. Understood this point? Come to next point. Future operating loss. Don't read, huh? Don't read. Don't read. Correct? Let us come to the example. Future operating loss. I'll just create one case study. Okay, now suppose you have what? Two business. You have two business. Business 1, business 2. Correct? Or two factory you can say. This is a profit making. This is loss making. Loss making. Profit making means what? Suppose 30 lakh per annum and there is a loss of what? Suppose 35 lakh loss every year. Means last year this was the loss. And you are expecting that in future also there will be loss. Correct? Understood? And you have decided to close down this business. Why? Because in the next you have decided to close down this business after how many years? After 2 years, because okay, closing down will take some time. You can't immediately what? Stop the business because there are many other obligations also. It will take time to close down. So you have decided to close down that business. Why? Because in future you are expecting losses. We are expecting this 2 year losses. The expected losses were 35 lakh plus 35 lakh. I hope you are understanding. Total loss become what? 70 lakh. This become future operating loss. And you have decided to close down that business because of what? Expected loss. Understood? Should we create provision? Should we create provision? Yes or no? Why no? Provision is dependent on future conduct of business. You are saying future conduct. That point is also correct. Can you say? But simple point. It is based on future event. It is not based on past event. Correct. That your answer is also correct. Once again, can you say application of common sense? Means now you have understood India's 37. Apply that. You have understood India's studies. Whatever questions I will create, you can do it by your own not. So if I will take 1 lakh questions, it is a wastage of time or not? Questions are not important. What is important? Content. Change in the learning process. Inter, we used to practice. Means if I will take you inter class, question by question, question by question, question by question. Means we'll do question by question, but here content, concept by concept. That change in the process of learning. Normally we don't change the process of learning. And if you don't change the process of learning, then some difficulty will arise in exam. I'm not saying don't practice question, but n number of question is not required. N number of question is not required. Correct? Yes, sir. The same thing is given. What they have given? Neither provision nor what? Neither provision nor contingent liability as it is related to what? Future event. Or you can say it is independent. Sorry, it is dependent on future conduct of business. Correct? Correct. Coming to next point, executory contract. Executory contract. Do you know what is executory contract? Do you know what is executory contract? Huh? Started by? No, this is not executive contract. Anyone? Means forgotten. What is the executive contract? No, that's same thing. Wow. English change. Change in English. Wow. What is the meaning of executive contract? Forgotten. That was done in CA foundation. Huh? CA foundation means whatever we have done in CA foundation, CA into that too we have forgotten. Better you, acha you have forgotten. Correct. Then only you listen me na. Simple na. So what is the executive contract? When either both the parties have not performed their part of obligation, or both the party has partially performed their part of obligation. This is known as executory contract. I have already said in a contract both parties have obligation and both parties have their own right. So can I say in our contract I have a performance obligation and you have payment obligation. So both have not performed their part of obligation. The batch is not started. So I have not performed, you have not paid. This is executory contract. Understood? We have done one contract, but till now we have not performed our obligation. This is known as executory contract. Now let me take one example. Example about executory contract. So you are writing everything whatever I am writing now. Write down. This is the best practice. Writing is the best practice to understand anything. At CA final level we don't write because we think that we can retain anything. And we are not Atma, we are Paramatma. We think like that. In CA internal, believe me, student will write everything. Means if I will say some extra point now, if I will say some motivation, they will write on that also. If I am creating one story, they will write on that also. I have seen that type of student in CA internal. In CA final, we become lazy. Kya dikhna? We are Paramatma. We can retain anything na. Are bolna re. Remain student till you become CA. Remain student na. Behave like student. Don't become auditor right now. Behave like student. When we forget our existence, something happens. You are a student, behave like student. Should I say every time right, right, right? Are bola re? Right. Best practice to retain anything is writing. Got it? Execute the contract. Now, suppose one party has done one contract with other party for purchase of machinery. For purchase of machinery. Understood? Just write down who is buyer. Suppose this is X, this is Y. So this is buyer and this is seller. Understood? But this will be delivered after 1 year. Contract done one right now. Contract done right now. But this machinery will be delivered after 1 year and payment will be done also after 1 year. But contract done. There is a contract now. Contract, binding contract. It is a binding contract. And write down non-cancelable. It is non-cancelable contract. Huh? Non-cancelable contract. Understood? Have you understood this point? So of course, can you see in this chapter we are thinking about payment obligation or performance obligation. In this chapter we are thinking about payment obligation or performance obligation. So we are thinking from X or Y point of view. X point of view. So let us come to X only. We are not thinking from Y's point of view now. Are you able to understand what I am saying? Are bol de yes or no? Now from X point of view. Correct. Now there is a contract to pay how much amount? Amount I have not written. Let us write down. For rupees what? 20 lakh. So there is a contract to pay how much? 20 lakh. After how many months? 12 months. And machinery will be also received after 12 months. It is an executive contract or not? Correct. Should we create a liability? Should we create a liability? Yes or no? Have you understood? Should we create a liability? Yes or no? How many are saying yes? How many are saying no? How many are saying no? What is this? If your answer is no, stick to that. Your answer might be correct or wrong. And there is nothing wrong to give wrong answer. Huh? There is nothing wrong to give wrong answer. Have you understood? But stick to your point. Understood? Are you able to understand? This is very useful. Suppose somebody given a marriage proposal to you. Understood? And you have not liked that other person. So you'll say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, like this. अरे बोलना रे. Or you'll say no or yes. या कुछ भी कर लो. Future event. बोलना रे. तो always you should stick to your point, otherwise your life will be destroyed. Correct? Now, what I am saying, how many are saying no? Come to know first. Only one person? Only one person? But what is why no? This in class only I have punishment. You sit down. Huh? Liability? Liability? Not? Not arises. Liability not arises. Your answer is not as per India 37. Now, whatever you are giving, give answer as per the requirement of India 37. This I am saying you, pata nahi, I don't know whether no is correct or yes is correct, but this is not as per India 37. I am not going to give marks. Understood? Now, you need to answer as per the requirement of India 37 na? Are bolna re? But this executive contract is what? Future event or past event? Future or past? Future, when the machinery will be received. When the machinery will be received. Now, when the services will be received. Suppose we have done one contract and I have done that when you pass CA inter, I will teach CA final. Let us do contract right now only. So, I will give you CA final coaching after passing CA inter only na. So, should you recognize that liability right now? It is based on what? Future event na. Executive contract when both the party has not performed their part of obligation. Means we have not received machinery. Machinery we receive after 12 months. Should we recognize any liability? But whether we do any accounting based on contract, whether we should do accounting based on contract, whether contract is required to do accounting, or we should do accounting based on what? We should do accounting based on substance. Substance over form. Foundation. First chapter. Unit number 2. This was the content. Substance over form. You know what is substance over form? Who will explain what is the meaning of substance over form? बड़ा मजा आता है. बोलो. What? Reality over legality. Explain. Example not. I have asked example. Explain what is the meaning of reality over legality. I am a CA foundation student. You said as a teacher reality over legality. I said sir please explain. I am not able to understand. Explain it. Why you give me example? What do you understand? What is reality over legality? Huh? Huh? Hey, you are giving position of that. One example, one teacher has given. That example you repeat throughout your life. There can be only one example. But I don't understand CA foundation level. Every teacher will give this example because this example is given as your study material. And reality over legality. What is this? Why explain to karo? In CA foundation, actually, your entire concept was destroyed. You know, chapter number 1 was very important for base of accounting. Chapter number 1, but nobody teach chapter number 1. And chapter number 1, unit number 2, accounting principle. Entire accounting is based on that accounting principle. You have done convention, concept, accounting convention. Normally, teacher will not take time. I take, normally I teach these in what? Come se come 8 to 10 hours in CA foundation. And therefore, students don't come to me at CA foundation. No one is willing to learn. No one is willing to learn the base. No one is willing to learn. Pass karwa do sir. You will pass CA foundation, you will pass CA enter. What will happen in CA final? Multiple attempt. Multiple attempt. Understood? I will say better you take more attempt at CA foundation. Better. Am I right or not? I am right, 100% right. But CA foundation they don't understand, only students are so much immature that time. Are you getting? So what is substance? Reality over legality means what? If I try to explain this word, this is correct terms. It means what? Whenever we do accounting, accounting should be based on actual happening, not based on legal document. Your contract is a legal document. So we should do accounting based on actual happening. What is the actual happening of that transaction? See the real terms of that transaction. See the actual happening of that transaction. Correct? Not the terms of the contract. So whatever is written in the contract is bakwas. So whether we'll do accounting based on contract? No, we'll see the substance of this contract. What is the substance of this contract? Till now, machinery has not been received, so obligation has not arisen. If obligation has not arisen, there is no liability, and it is based on what? Future event. Correct. So can I say for an executory contract, Ind AS 37 is not applicable? Can I say, please, when I don't interrupt in between. Can I say executory contract Ind AS 37 is not applicable? Can I say in this way? Huh? Because it is always based on what? Future event. So in AS 37 is not applicable to executory contract. Got it? Understood? No. Ind AS 37 is not a contingent liability is also based on whether contingent liability is based on future event. All here in this chapter, everything whatever we are doing that is arises from what? Past event. When I am saying Ind AS 37 is not applicable, it is outside the scope of this chapter. Outside the scope of this chapter. Have you understood? Have you understood? So Ind AS 37 is not applicable to what? Executory contract. Correct? Contingent liability. Just try to understand. I started with what? Contingency. Contingency means what? Past event. Past event means what? Past event. Past event means past event. Past event means past event. Bolo? Past event means, so we'll not think about future event this chapter. Will not think about future event. Future event outside this chapter. Don't apply Ind AS 37. Any other Ind AS will think, but this chapter to not will not be applicable. Na? Got it? Yes, sir. Have you understood? If you have understood, I'll change the example. Same example, I'll do some modification. So what was the period? 1 year. Correct? But what happened? On 31st March 2020, 6 months expired. 6 months expired. And now X Limited decided to change the production method. Understood? Change the production method. Quite possible. Change the production method. Have you the same continuation of that example? And now this machinery is not required. Is not required. Have you understood? Correct? Have you understood? And if they purchase this machinery, the scrap value of machinery will be 1 lakh. Understood? Correct. Now the question is that whether they can cancel the contract. Whether they can cancel the contract. अरे बोलना yes or no? No, they can cancel. Non-cancelable contract are those contract which can be cancelled, but upon payment of penalty, penalty, penalty. So any contract can be cancelled. Right now, I can cancel your contract also. Huh? अरे बोलना yes or no? What do whatever you want to do? I can cancel or not? Yes. So any contract can be cancelled, but non-cancelable contract are those contracts which can be cancelled upon payment of penalty. Means there will be one penalty clause. There will be one penalty clause now. So if suppose they want to cancel, because message is not required, now we can cancel. बोलना रे, correct? Penalty, sorry, is 5 lakh. Understood? Entire story change. Entire story change. Now let us understand what they want to say. Can I say it is an executive contract? But now executive contract become onerous. India 37 says now this contract become onerous. Onerous means burden. Is a burden. Why it become burden? Because the future expected benefit from such contract is less than expected cost of meeting that obligation. Means benefit is less than cost. Means cost is more than benefit. Whenever we do contract means what? Our benefit should be more than what? Cost. Means I purchase this mobile, to benefit whatever I am receiving this mobile will be more than what the cost, and therefore I have purchased. Otherwise, why I will purchase? I will not purchase because I am CA. अरे बोलना रे, so I know that I will receive benefit more than what cost, and therefore I have entered into the contract to purchase this mobile. Have you understood what I am saying? So we always do cost benefit analysis, but what happened, because it was a binding contract, and if you execute that contract, so expected benefit will be less than what? Expected cost of meeting the obligation, and therefore now this contract become onerous. Now this contract become onerous, and what India 37 says that now because it become onerous, India 37 is applicable. India 37 is applicable. So India 37 is not applicable to executory contract, but once the contract become onerous, India 37 will be applicable. India 37 will be applicable. Why? Because expected cost of meeting that obligation will be more than expected benefit. Now, from your point of view, what should be the amount of provision? I am given one case. What should be the amount of provision? What should be the amount? Raise your hand. Don't say like this. मजा नहीं आता. What should be the amount of provision? Discounting ignore, because I have not given rate of discount na. In exam we will apply discount only when the rate of discount is given. ठीक है ना? Right now I have not given, ignore it. Correct? बताओ. You are saying what? 5 lakh. But 5 lakh when you cancel the contract. Understood? Means why you will cancel the contract? If B is more than what? A. What is B? That we need to understand. Suppose if you want to execute a contract, how much you need to pay? 20 lakh. And what is the scrap value? 1 lakh. Means what is the expected cost of meeting that obligation? 19 lakh. So your provision should be lower of these two. Your answer is correct, 5 lakh. But you should say A or B. Means it is quite possible B is what? Lower than A. Then why you will cancel the contract? Means I could have said scrap value of machinery is what? 90 lakh. Scrap value of machinery, or you can sell that machinery at 90 lakh. Are you able to understand? We can sell that machinery in the market at 90 lakh. Then it will become 1 lakh, and that is 5 lakh. So what happened? Understood now? Then lower will be not A. It is lower of these two. So in this case, whenever it become onerous, we'll take lower, and this will become what? The amount of provision. Have you understood? So what India 37 says, when executed contract become onerous, it become burden. then apply Ind AS 37. But if it is not onerous, don't apply Ind AS 37. Don't apply Ind AS 37. Understood? Correct? So can I say once it become onerous, it arises from past event only because you have already done one contract and you are now supposed to incur some expected cost which is more than what expected benefit. Got it? Understood? What is written? Check करेंगे. Executive contract are the contract under which neither party has performed any of its obligation or both parties have partially performed their obligation to an equal extent. The meaning of executive contract you have understood? Correct. This standard does not apply to executive contract unless they are onerous. Unless they are onerous. What is the meaning of onerous contract? Onerous contract are those contracts in which unavoidable cost. The key term is what? Unavoidable cost. Unavoidable cost which you cannot avoid. Unavoidable cost in simple word I will say incremental cost or incremental cost. What is the meaning of incremental cost? Incremental costs are those costs which will be incurred only because of that contract. Means any cost which will be incurred even though you are not executing that contract, that is not an incremental cost. For example, there are many admin expenses which will be incurred even though we are not executing that contract. Correct now? There are some employee expenses that will be incurred even though we are not executing that contract, that are not incremental costs. That are not incremental costs. The incremental costs are directly related cost of that contract which cannot be avoided, which are unavoidable. Understood? So unavoidable cost of meeting the obligation under the contract exceed what? Exceed what? The economic benefit expected to be received under it. The meaning you understood? What is the meaning of onerous contract when the unavoidable cost of meeting that obligation exceed the expected benefit under that contract? Correct. If an entity has a contract that is onerous, the present obligation under the contract shall be recognized and measured as a provision. Means Ind AS 37 will be applicable. Ind AS 37 will be applicable. The cost of fulfilling a contract comprise the cost that relate directly. Understood? The word directly? Incremental cost. The cost of fulfilling a contract. The cost of fulfilling the contract. Understood? Comprise the cost that relate directly to the contract. Directly to the contract. Cost that relate directly to contract consists of two elements. One is incremental cost of fulfilling that contract. Incremental cost means which will be incurred even though you are not executing that contract. Correct? For example, direct material, direct labor, etc. That become incremental cost. Incremental cost. And an allocation of directly attributable cost. Allocation of directly attributable cost means there are some directly attributable overhead. Correct? So an allocation of directly attributable cost, for example, the depreciation for an item of PP used in fulfilling the contract among others, means it is nothing but overhead which are directly related to that contract. Overhead that are directly related to that contract. Specific overhead which we allocate. Now you know allocation of overhead that I am not teaching. Well, that is a part of costing. Correct? Have you understood these two para? Means these are the information will be given the question only need to do plus plus and that will become the cost of fulfilling the contract. The unavoidable cost of meeting the obligation under the contract are only those costs that are incremental to the performance of the contract. That are incremental to the performance of the contract. Incremental already I have explained, which will be incurred only on executing that contract. Means simple word, cannot be avoided by entity's future actions. Cannot be avoided by entity's future actions means which are unavoidable. The incremental costs are unavoidable if we enter into that contract. Understood? Correct. Do not include allocated costs that will incur regardless of whether entity fulfill the contract or not. So this will not include any expenses which will be incurred even though you are not executing that contract in simple word. So they have just defined it. I have said in simple word, incremental costs are those costs which will be incurred only on the performance of that contract. Only on the performance of that contract. Understood? Have you understood this part? In this case, the amount of provision will be unavoidable cost which is lower of. Unavoidable cost which is lower of. So it will be lower of cost of fulfilling the obligation. Cost of fulfilling the obligation. Or any compensation or penalty arising from failure to fulfill it. Means if question is silent about penalty, then only point number A. If the question has given the amount of penalty, then A or B, whichever is lower. Understood? Correct. Recently, a new question has been added for onerous contract. So this become expected now in exam. Till now, they have not asked a good question on this, but recently they have added. So it means now we are expecting a good question on this. However, there were previously also some question, but till now they have not asked any question based on this from my point of view. But let us take some questions first. Come to question number 30. This question 30 already I have done with that example. This was asked in exam. The example whatever I have created, same to same one question they have asked in exam. Check karo. Sun Limited has entered into a binding agreement. Binding. Dangerous in exam, huh? Binding. Binding means what? Non-cancelable. Non-cancelable means cancelled. Can be cancelled, huh? Non-cancelable contract can be cancelled. Are you able to understand what I am saying? This dangerous word. Binding. Achha, let us create liability. Correct. With Moon Limited to buy a custom made machine for rupees 4 lakh. At the end of 2018 before delivery of the machine. So it is an executive contract, you have understood. Initially it is an executive contract, but in exam they will ask onerous contract. If it is only executory, then to India's 37 not applicable. Na? Sun Limited had to change the method of production. Same thing I have given. The new method will not require the machine order which is to be scrapped after delivery. The expected scrap value is nil. Oh, they are saying nil. Scrap value is nil. Given that the asset is yet to be delivered, should any liability be recognized for potential loss? If so, give reason for the same, the amount of liability as well as the accounting entry. Means you need to give reason. Now you write down as per India's 37. Executive contract are those contracts. You can write down. India's 37 is not applicable to executive unless they are onerous. Onerous contract are these contracts. Can you write down? Because in the given case, it is an onerous. We should create a provision. The amount of provision will be the amount of what? Unavoidable cost. Unavoidable cost is how much? They have given 4 lakh. So you should create a provision of what? 4 lakh. This is the answer. You can read it. Jana entry what? Jana entry because they have asked accounting entry. Correct now. So Jana entry is what? You can write down expense for onerous contract to provision for onerous contract. Or you can directly down PL account debit to provision for onerous contract. Because normally expense will be transferred to what? PL. So normally in बचपन से हम किए ना PL account debit to provision, PL account debit to provision. You can write down that also, but better entry is what? Expense to provision and then PL to expense. This is a better journal entry. This is the better journal entry. You can do onerous contract provision expense to provision for onerous contract. Then PL account debit to onerous contract provision expense. You can add on expense for onerous contract. Account name you can change. There is no standard rules for the name of the account. Chalega? Understood? Simple. It was a question of 5 marks. But the question of 5 marks, 5 out of 5. If you are writing perfectly as per the requirement of India's 37, that will become best tense. If you write down yes, we'll create provision because there is a liability, amount of liability is 4 lakh, they will say okay, we'll give you 1 marks. So your answer is correct, but your answer is not best as per the requirement of ICI. Now do whatever you want to do after result. From ICI point of view, your answer is not correct. So there is a difference between correct answer and best answer. Huh? That you need to understand. That you need to understand. And I'm not saying that you can write down exactly what is given under India's 37. Write down in your own words. But write as per the requirement of India's 37. Already I have said grammatical mistake, no marks will be deducted. By handwriting, no marks will be deducted. But write as per the requirement of India 37. One more question recently added. Let me read question. I like that question personally. However, the answer is given in the question only. But I like that question personally. Means anyone who have not read that concept or forgotten that concept in exam, they will leave this question. Because it is designed in such a way you will not be able to understand what they have asked if you have forgotten the content. Correct. HBCL manufacture heavy equipment for the construction industry. An order for supply of 90 equipment was received from ABIL. The unit price of the equipment was agreed at 190 lakhs each. 190 lakh each. 60 for equipment was supplied, already supplied. So balance is how much? 90 minus 60 for how much? 90 minus 64? 20? 26. So we should think about balance only. Correct? Balance, right now we can understand it is a question of India's 37 honors content. But in exam, you will, what is this? You'll think about supply. Supply means revenue. Revenue means India's 115. Correct na? In exam, the same question will become difficult because you don't know from which chapter na. Are bolna re? That is exam hall is totally different case. Exam hall to paper number 1 FR entire syllabus is revolving, and with paper 1 there are more 7 paper that is also revolving. After paper 1 paper 2 there are 7, but in paper 1 to 8 subject revolving na. I need to go to that particular content and apply that content like this. So full memory is there. Overburden. Exam hall is totally different scenario. Correct? So balance quantity remaining to be supplied as on this date. HBCL has 5 equipment in the inventory. So already how much produce? 5. How much not produce? 21. As on 31st March 2002, HBCL considered that the contract was onerous contract. Now you have understood because given in the question. Onerous contract. Correct? Understood? Onerous contract. And therefore the net realizable value of the inventory has been taken as the value of inventory as on 31st March 2. Means they have given this 5 will be valued as per Ind AS 2. Whatever inventory is 5 na. अरे बोलना रे as per Ind AS 2. अभी now you are thinking about Ind AS 2 in exam. Because onerous contract तो delete हो गया. You in exam hall onerous contract deleted understood now, because right now we are doing that content, doing that concept you can link, but in exam hall can you link? That is a particular point. The management of HBCL contended costs incurred toward admin overhead, finance charges and R&D expense, sales overhead and headquarter expense are considered as a period cost and hence not considered for the creation of provision. Means period cost means ongoing expense. Ongoing expense means it will be incurred even though you are not doing anything. Correct? This become what admin expenses. So they have given that will not be considered. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I said answer is given the question only. Correct? But it is quite possible this para is not given in your exam question. Correct now? And the same have not been included in the computation of unavoidable cost. Now dhire dhire you need to recollect the concept of onerous contract. Unavoidable cost. Correct now? Unavoidable cost. The management of HBCL has submitted the details of the costs that have been considered for the creation of provision towards onerous contract. Now you have understood yes 37. But what happened in exam? देखो क्या होता है? You are reading. You are reading. First para you have read. Second para you have read. Now, which is in days? You will not read only. You will go to what? Next question. In exam, make a rule. I am saying make a rule. You can leave one question because what is the standard paper? They will give 6 questions. How many questions? 6 questions. Question number 1 will be mandatory. And out of 5, 4 questions you need to attempt. Means 1 question you can leave. But if you have started reading now, you need to complete it. Don't leave without reading the entire question. Because already you have wasted some minute there. Read it completely. It is quite possible that question was very easy. Read it. Then leave it if you want to leave. Understood? So this I am saying if you have started, complete reading should be done. Okay. Material cost, can I say direct? Direct na? I'm not reading the balance. Labor cost direct. Material overhead includes salaries and other expense booked under department linked with the material purchase, stores and quality control. So can you say material overhead is also what? Direct only? Directly allocated overhead? Accordingly, the provision has been made considering the above cost only. Everything is given in the question. Such a simple question. Question cannot be easier than this, huh? The value of provision created for 21 remaining, 21 which is still to be produced, still to be produced. Remaining equipment to be procured is as per the working shown below. The cost of production, which include material cost, labor cost, and material overhead. Thank you very much. Correct only. 199. Selling price 190. Differential cost per equipment 9. Differential cost 9 per equipment for 21 189. Where the company's accounting treatment for the cost of creation of provision toward onerous contract is in the line with India's 37. It means only write down India's 37. Yes, it is correct. Correct now. This is what? Unavoidable cost now. Means you need to produce what? At 199. This is the cost. Unavoidable cost, but you can sell at what? 190. So how much you are recovering? 190 you are recovering. So how much you are not recovering? 9. The 9 we should create a provision for what? 9 now. 9 to 21 how much? 189. 100% correct. Correct. But answer. Entire para whatever we have discussed that is written. If you are not writing for yes, we should create provision as per India certain 0 marks. It means content should be also retained. Then only you can write down. And this can I say this you read 2 times as a CA final student, you know what to write. Muggification is not required, rattafication is not required. If you have understood, you can write down in your own words. Think about keywords. Keywords on the rest, unavoidable cost, incremental cost. This you should write down. These are the keywords. You can't change the keywords in exam. That is more important. Correct. You can see further is correct that period cost will not be considered for measurement of cost for the purpose of creation of provision on honors cost as they do not relate. Accordingly, SBCL has correctly measured the cost. Everything is correct. You can read the answer. But I will say good question. How they can change the question? Means if I am creating question, what I will do? I will modify this question. I will not give the answer in the question. I will ask you to derive the answer. So similar question can be asked in exam with modification or without modification. Normally in exam they don't modify. As per the past trend, they don't have the ability to modify the question. Because if they modify the question, they need to modify the answer also. Correct now? So it is expected. Understood. Dekho, simple question then also I am writing expected. Huh? Simple or not? Then also I am writing expected in exam. Correct? Correct. This also we have understood. We'll take some more question, but at the end, this is one summary I have given to understand whether we'll create provision, contingent. Can you read once by your own summary? You will understand. This is the last revision. Once you have completed India's 37, we can revise. Just read it. You will understand. Whenever there is a question, you should think about this: obligation, outflow, estimation, and then answer. Estimation question is silent. Always assume yes can be estimated. If question is silent, write down. If question is silent, always assume it can be estimated, or you can give two answer. If it can be estimated, then this is the answer. If it cannot be estimated, this is the answer. Better, I will say that is the better answer. Correct? But you can't give like this. Answer question is silent. It is not estimated. Then our answer. That can be wrong answer as per I see it. There are some general assumptions. That general assumption we need to follow in exam. Correct? I think no doubt in summary you have understood. Any doubt? Can we proceed? Yes, sir. Now there are some small point. Let us complete changes in provision. Of course, can I say whenever we create provision, so that provision may actually require settlement after 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It means there will be subsequent reporting date. So at each subsequent reporting date, can you see we should do the reassessment for the amount of provision? Or it is quite possible now no provision is required and provision may become contingent liability. Correct, now it is quite possible present obligation may become possible obligation after some time depending upon the changes in circumstances. So reassessment is required or not? Reassessment required, that is known as changes in the amount of provision. Correct? Understood? What there? Provision must be reviewed at each reporting date and should be adjusted to reflect the best current estimate. So of course the amount can also change. If amount increase the amount of provision. Amount decrease, so decrease the amount of provision. If provision is no longer required, entire reversal required. Correct? If provision is no longer required as it is not probable, outflow is not probable now, so it may become contingent liability. Disclosure required, but amount provision is not required. Amount of provision must be reversed. Simple point. I think no clarification required. Correct. Unwinding of provisional amount. Unwinding of provisional amount. Unwinding of provisional amount means adding interest. Okay, right now provision is a discounted amount, but actual payment will be future value. So we should change the amount of provision every year by adding interest now, because actual payment will future value now. Not able to understand. Correct. Means what I said. Suppose this is what. Acha, we can do in this way also. One question we have taken today, na. This question. So we have created this amount, but can I say the actual payment will be this amount, na? Correct. It means can I say after each year we should add some interest so that can I say present value become future value. This concept is known as unwinding of provisional amount. Unwinding is nothing but compounding. Compounding means what? Adding interest. Compounding means adding interest. Discounting means deducting interest. Compounding means adding interest. Unwinding is nothing but compounding. Compounding means add interest, and that interest will become borrowing cost which will be charged to PL. So that interest whatever you have added will be a borrowing cost will be charged to PL as an expense for that particular year. Understood? Correct? So what they have said, when discounting is used, when discounting has been used, so it is quite possible that time value of money is not material, then it is an undiscounted amount only, then this para is not applicable. So this para is applicable only when you have used discounting. Correct? The carrying amount of provision increases every year. That increased amount is treated as what? Borrowing cost. Simple. I think no explanation required, but let us take one question. Question 9. X Telecom Limited has an income tax litigation pending before appellate authorities. Legal advisor opinion is that X Telecom Limited will lose the case and the estimated liability is 1 crore. May arise in 2 years. So 1 crore is what? Future or present? Future value or present value? Future value now, because that will arise after 2 years. The liability is recognized at a discounted basis. Thank you very much. The discount rate at which the liability has been discounted is 10%. Thank you very much. It is assumed that discount rate does not change over the period of 2 years. So they are saying discount rate remains same. If there is change in discount rate, so we'll adjust the amount of provision. We'll adjust the amount of provision. How should X Telecom Limited calculate the amount of borrowing cost? Now borrowing cost means AS 16. AS60 means Ind AS 23. AS16 you remember. Now if you forget this concept, you will apply Ind AS 23. Ind AS 23 is not applicable for this particular question. In exam hall is actually different platform where you need to understand which Ind AS is applicable, because normally in exam they don't give the Ind AS number. They will not say as per Ind AS 37. Are you getting? Now borrowing cost means AS60 na? AS60 means Ind AS 23. You will be confused. "Arey, what is this?" And if you give reference of Ind AS 23, 0 marks. Even though your answer is correct. Even though your answer is correct. Now, what they have said, asked to do what? Journal entry. Let me assume, because they have not given the reporting date, let us assume Y0. Y0 is our reporting date. Correct? So we'll create what? Provision. So what will be journal entry? Batao. Batao. Expense for legal damages. It is a legal, what, income tax? What have you given? Income tax obligation. You can add on income tax. Account debit to what? Provision for income tax. Understood? Correct. What will be the amount? 1 crore multiplied by what? बताओ, for 2 years. 0 point, बोलो, 0.826. What is the amount? 82 lakh 60,000. Understood? What amount they have given? Check karo. What amount they have given? 82 lakh 70,000, because they have taken 8 to 7. So our answer is also correct. Their answer is also correct. Will not fight for this, huh? Arey sir, when the marks will be deducted, so what will happen? Will die, sir. Don't think like that. They are also CA, we are also CA. They know this is approximation. Chalega? Correct. Now can you say we'll come to Y1 next reporting date? Correct. Now we'll add what? Borrowing cost. This will be charged to PL. To what? Provision amount will increase. We'll add interest. So interest will be added at the rate of 10%. So 10% is what? 8 lakh 26,000. 8 lakh 26,000. Then we'll come to Y2. Once again, what will happen? Borrowing cost will increase, means interest will be recognized and the provision amount will increase. The last year, can I say your interest should be balancing figure due to approximation, because your provision should be 1 crore now. What you'll do? This plus this minus 1 crore, how much? 9 lakh 14 14,000. So due to approximation, we have taken balancing figure. This too you know from CA Inter. Last year interest should be always balancing figure. Correct? And now you can see the provision amount will become 1 crore. And suppose your actual liability is also 1 crore, you'll pay that amount. You'll say provision account debit to bank. But in this question, they have asked you to calculate only what? Borrowing cost. So I have done in the way of journal entry, but they have not asked journal entry. So with this question, I have just explained the journal entry also. Correct? You can write down as per the answer given in the para format. Because they have not asked journal entry, the better write down in para format. Simple. Any doubt? Correct. What answer में what they have given? This is 2 year. This is Y0. This is Y1. This is Y2. This is 1 crore na? Understood? This is 1 crore. Answer why, how they have calculated? First, so they have calculated is 8 lakh 26,000. When answer they have not added interest, they have calculated present value of this here. We can do like this, na? Now at y1, what is the present value of this? We'll multiply by 909. It will become what? 9 lakh? 9 lakh 9,000. 9 lakh 90,000. And the difference is what? This is 82 lakh 60,000. Sorry. Difference is what? Interest, na? Interest is how much? 8 lakh 30,000. And this difference is what? This 1 crore difference? 9 lakh. So answer will not match, na? Answer will not match, but both answers are correct. You can't say this answer is wrong, na? You can say this is 826, this is 830, na? Answer is coming different, but both approach are correct only. The difference is coming because of approximation. Because of approximation. So you can't say that this answer is wrong and this answer is correct. But in ICR they have given answer in this way. You can read the answer now. Read answer. Check karo. Read answer. Normally what happened in my initial batch, I used to only discuss this. I used to discuss this. Then I thought a student started asking answer, sir, what is this? So why they have done calculation this way? In the like you have done FM. You can understand by your own. This calculation also we can do na. Are bola re? The same way but different method. So we can't say कि this is not correct and that is not correct. Both are correct answer. But ICI has given this way. You can change the answer. Your objective is giving what? Your opinion. And you have calculated correctly only. Got it? Chalega? Yes, sir. So this also you have understood. Have you understood unwinding of provisional amount? But a new term has been introduced in your life, unwinding. So whenever there is a present value now, so for future, to make it a future value, we do unwinding of that amount. Unwinding means add interest. Add interest. Use of provision. Just try to understand. Suppose you have created provision for some particular case. Can you use that provision, amount of provision for other purpose? Suppose you created a provision for one legal case. And now you know that that provision was no more required. So can you use that amount of provision for other case? No. Means once it is not required, reverse it. You can't use it for any other purpose. Understood point? A provision should be used only for the expenditure for which it was originally recognized. In other words, it cannot be used for any other purpose. If no longer required, reverse the amount of provision and create a separate provision for other case. Correct? Yes, sir. Accounting treatment. Accounting treatment, when the provision is related to an expense. When the provision is related to an expense, what will be journal entry for creation of provision? Expense account debit to provision. What will be journal entry for reversal of provision? Provision account debit to provision account debit to provision account debit to PL. Provision account debit to PL. अरे बोलना रे. Now when I say provision account debit to PL, so when you are saying to PL, it is created. So it is what? Income or it is what? Not an income. Now what I am asking, सुनना. What I am asking, answer as per my question. ठीक है ना? Always you answer differently. Always you answer differently. What I'm asking, answer as per that. First, once you don't read, if you read, ना interest चला जाता है. Normally, इसलिए we should not follow book. When you are doing this journal entry provision to PL, so this is an income or it is not an income? ये बताओ. What I am asking, that you say me. My question is this. I have said option number A is what? Income. Option B is not an income. You need to opt in these two. What? It is an income or not an income? How many are saying it is not an income? How many are saying it is an income? And balance what you are saying? All of the above. None of the above. अरे बोलना रे. One second, please. One second, I am saying the second class. Answer. Try to answer. Either A or B. You have two options in exam. Do or do. Because if you are not doing, then also you are not getting marks. Too wrong. Too wrong. Then also you are not getting marks now. But if you are doing something, it might happen they give some marks. 1 marks is very important. That I am saying. Correct? But how many are saying income? Income. It is not an income. It is not an income. Means income. It is actually not an income. So what is the meaning of income? What is the meaning of income? All inflow. All inflows are income. Think and say. One by one, one by every someone say na to whom I will. देखो, to say with everyone is very easy. To say to speak alone is very difficult. Now, who want to say explain? Raise your hand. No, no one will raise hand. Who want to explain? What is the meaning of income? देखो, only two, three, and believe me, every whenever I am asking question, this same hand I am getting. Others are silent. बोलना मजा आता है ना ऐसे बैठने में. अरे बोले speak रे speak. I am giving you chance. In India, only one teacher will give you chance. That is Chiranjeev Jain in the classroom. Believe me, you will not find any other teacher. They think about a time. I think about your time. I can what decrease my time na. अरे बोलना रे. If I will explain, I am saving some time, but I am wasting your time actually. So use this time. In India, you will not find any other teacher other than me. This तो I bet. No teacher CF at every level. Inter तो I know what they teach. देखो, I respect every teacher. I respect every teacher. But whether that teaching is as per the requirement of ICS, that is we need to understand. I am giving time. Use this time, because when you will come to other subject now, you need to ask doubt. You need to ask doubt now, and don't leave till you have understood, because you have given fees. You have given fees, and fees you have given not for the content, for the doubts only. You can read entire content by your own, and believe me, you will be 80% you will understand with from my book only. So you are coming only for what 20%, and that also you are not asking. Chalo, income. Because I need to go proceed. So those who are raising hand, they need to only answer. So anyone can answer. What is income? Inflow from the. What is the operation of business? Means only operating activity. Means non-operating activities are not income. Think before you say. Means interest income, if I receive from any investment, that is my non-operating business. Whether it is an income or it is not an income. So think twice before you say. Because you are a chartered accountant. Got it? Anyone? Probable. Oh my god. This word you are using, probable. Most expected income. You are paying expected income, so it becomes contingent asset and we don't recognize that. It may become contingent asset also. And that is not an income. We don't recognize contingent asset. At CA final level, we are not able to answer what is the meaning of income. बताओ. नहीं हाँ बोले बोले. Revenue generated from asset means decrease in liability is not an income. Means you are saying decrease in liability is not a income. अरे बोल ना. This is the correct definition. अच्छा, where the income definition has been given in CA Inter. Income tax. I am not teaching you income tax. In which accounting standard income has been defined? Revenue is a part of income. I am saying income. AS9 is revenue. There was one chapter. Actually, no, actually, it might happen. Either teacher has taught that, but you have not taken seriously that chapter, because normally questions are not asked from that chapter. There was one chapter, framework for the preparation and presentation of financial statement. Remember that chapter? It is in advanced accounting. I forgot, but it is one of the chapter, and that is fully theoretical chapter. In that, the meaning of income, expense, asset, liability has been given. So, what is the meaning of income? Because right now we are coming to income. The income definition is given in chapter number 1. I mean, right now we are not doing chapter number 1. Chapter number 1 is conceptual framework. That chapter I will do at the end. Means that when entire syllabus will complete, then I will do that chapter. But that meaning is given in that conceptual framework. What is the meaning of income? Income means either increase in asset or decrease in asset, which has a corresponding effect by way of increase in equity. Means when increase in asset will be there, it will increase your equity. When there is a decrease in liability, so it will increase equity. Correct now? So income means what? Increase in asset or decrease in liability, which has a corresponding effect of increase in equity, other than any contribution from equity participant. Other than any contribution from equity participant means any contribution. Just try to, if you receive any contribution from equity participant, the increase in asset, cash will increase, and your equity will also increase. So it is not an income. But suppose if you have received a loan, so you are receiving what? Cash. But in that, equity is not increasing, your liability is increasing. Therefore, that is not an income. So all inflows are not income. All inflows are not income. Understood? So can I say this provision account debit to PL will not meet the definition of income, and therefore it is not an income, and therefore it will not go to income side. It is a reduction of expense. Reduction of expense. Understood? Correct? Means here we are not here to learn journal entries. CA final is not accounting. CA final is not advanced accounting. CA final is financial reporting. Oh, acha, ye baat. And CA are actually for reporting, not for accounting. After becoming CA, you will never prepare till you are doing accounting job. And normally we should not do accounting job. And if you are doing accounting job, don't become CA. We are not for accounting. Means as a CA, if you are a true CA, you'll never prepare journal. You'll never prepare what? Ledger. You'll never prepare what? Trial balance. You'll not prepare balance in PL also. You will do what? Presentation of financial statement. You should know how to prepare and present financial statement in such a way that it gives correct information to whom? To the user of financial statement. So we are for presentation, not for preparation. Who will prepare? Management will prepare. Will present it. We will present it. So if they have credited, if they have written in income side, we will say Nalayak, you don't know anything, reduce your expense. Net profit will remain same, but we are there to what? Present the information. Understood? Have you understood? Therefore, journal entry what I have given, provision account debit to expense. Okay. Income meaning you have understood? Once can you repeat? The meaning will do in conceptual framework. I am not giving in writing, but you should know what is the meaning of income below. Income is what? Increase in asset or decrease in liability, which has a corresponding effect where? Increase in equity. Other than contribution from equity participant. Expense reverse meaning. Expense means what? Decrease in, bolo, decrease in, increase in, which has a corresponding effect as a decrease in equity. Other than distribution to what? Equity participant. Distribution is dividend. Dividend is not an expense. In Bachpan mein, there was one doubt when you were doing class 11, 12 or CA foundation. This doubt, it might happen you have asked to your teacher. He said, why dividend payment is not an expense? Why it is not charged to PL? Why it is charged to PL appropriation account? Have you asked this doubt to your faculty? अरे बोलना रे, normally तो doubt आता ही नहीं है. They said PL appropriation. We have written PL appropriation. We have never asked the question, na? अरे बोलना रे. We have never asked that out. They said dividend will go to what? PL account or PL appropriation account? PL, and that we are doing. But can I say, as a CA student, you should ask one doubt, so why interest is transferred to PL and why dividend is not transferred to PL? Why it is PL appropriation account? It is also payment. The reason is that it is not an expense, as per definition given in the framework. Now, if the same question is asked in interview, you will say dividend is transferred to PL appropriation account, therefore it is not an expense. They will say bye bye. We don't require you. Because they will understand you don't have any practical knowledge. The interview is totally different. In interview, they will judge your practical knowledge. Practically, it is totally different. Understood? So they will judge what you have done in your articles. Whether you have practically applied AS and Ind AS or not. That is more important. But have you understood this journal entry? Expense. So you will not write provision account debit to income. It is provision account debit to expense. बोलना provision account debit to expense. Reverse provision, reverse expense, reverse expense. But if it is related to acquisition or construction of asset, means that provisional amount is related to acquisition or construction of asset, then your journal entry will be asset account debit to provision, and when reverse, provision account debit to asset. Understood? Have you understood? अरे बोलना रे. Hut nalayak, not understood. Give me one example for this. You said understood, huh? I have not said, huh? I have asked one question. Have you understood? You are saying yes sir, we have understood. You said na. Are bolna re. You said understood. Now give example. How you have understood? Asset account debit to provision. Give an example. Give an example. You said understood na. I asked one question. Have you understood? You are saying understood. From CA Foundation you are doing this only. You have not understood. I know what you have understood, what you have not understood. Bolo. Oh my god. This tax is outside the scope of this chapter. ठीक है ना? I'm not discussing anything about tax, but that is not a correct entry. Related to acquisition. What is the topic? Topic देखो. Related to acquisition or construction of an asset. Advanced tax is related to acquisition or construction of an asset. Then before you give generic thing. But the simple word tax is not covered in this chapter. Tax, everything I will discuss in what in days 12, coming soon in your life. So tax, so don't say anything. If it is related to some litigation, etc., then provision should be created, as we have done in one question. There was a litigation. Litigation means doubt. Doubt means what? Contingency. Contingency means this chapter. Correct? De-recognition. This is correct. 100%. Because actually he has done what? He has done his practical knowledge. Therefore, he is giving all the answer correctly. So don't compare yourself with him. First thing, huh? Correct? Understood what I am saying? But can I say he has not asked out because he has understood? But what about these all people who have not understood, but you have said understood? You should, as a CA student, you say, sir, we have never done this journal entry. Whether till now you have done this journal entry, asset accountability provision. Whether you have done this journal entry at CA Inter, asset accountability provision. If you have done, then give me. Actually, you have done, but you don't know. It is quite possible that teacher might have not explained that at CA Inter level. So once again, I'm asking, have you understood this journal entry? Bolo yes or no? Bolo Baba. Yes, bache. You have not understood. So what I will do? I will give one example when I will do in day 16. So right now I will defer this topic. I'll come back to this example when I will do in day 16. In day 16 nothing but AS10 property plant and equipment. That time I will once again come to this part. Once again, I'll come to this part. And don't worry, I will only come back. So you have understood journal entry, but you have not understood in what situation this journal entry will be applied. So once again, last time I am saying, if you are saying understood, next time I will not stop, I will skip. Okay? If you are saying understood now, so my time save na. If you don't want to learn, so why I will teach? Simple na. अरे बोलना रे. If you don't want to learn, so I am not going to teach you. So till you understand, don't say yes, sir. Got it? So we'll take break. This chapter, I am just giving you one information that how I teach. Because once I go to CA final chapter, then my role will be more than you. Then I will not wait. Correct na? I'll not wait. You said understood, I'll skip. Okay? I'm just warning you. I am warning you. Okay? You can start the break time. Now, can we start once again? Can we start once again, everyone? Now, any doubt? Changes? Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Every year we need to do some reassessment. His question is what? He said there is some changes in contingent liability and contingent liability become provision. So what we should do? So initially it was a disclosure contingent liability. The next reporting day it become present obligation. So now you will remove it from disclosure and you will start creating a provision. For that you need to do some best estimate. Then pass journal entry PL accountability provision in the next reporting date. Every year, at each reporting date you will do reassessment. The provision may become contingent liability or not required, or contingent liability may become provision also. Vice versa. Yes, reassessment for everything. If it become virtually certain now, so now every reporting date you should do reassessment. Correct. Come to the next point, restructuring. Now restructuring means what? That we need to understand. Have you came across this word in your life before? Restructuring. Can you give me one example of restructuring? Internal reconstruction is an example of restructuring, correct? But I was expecting that you will say amalgamation. I was expecting that you will say amalgamation. Correct now. My expectation was amalgamation, but your answer is correct. Internal reconstruction is also an example of restructuring. But amalgamation is a better example. Absorption is a better example. Correct now. Got it? So these are what examples of restructuring. So what is restructuring? Restructuring is any program when we change the scope of business materially. When the scope of business changes materially, then it becomes restructuring. Correct? Understood? So when I am saying restructuring, restructuring does not mean liquidation of entity. So when you have decided to liquidate, then to your going concern assumption become inappropriate. So we are not discussing about liquidation. Liquidation is not restructuring. Are you getting what I am saying? But suppose if you have decided to close down one of the business, even though your entity is a going concern, you decided to close down one of the business, so can you see it will change the scope of business? So that become a restructuring. For example, I am teaching foundation, inter and final, and I have decided that now I will not teach foundation. Correct now? So it is a restructuring. It is a restructuring. Now the question is that whenever there is a restructuring, should we recognize any provision for restructuring cost which will incur on actual restructuring? Have you understood the topic? Have you understood? Restructuring means what? It is a program which materially changes the scope of business. Example, sale of division, sale of a business. Division means business. Sale of one of the business. One of the business. When you are selling entire business, then the going concern assumption is affected. Then it becomes liquidation of the company. So we are not discussing about the liquidation right now. So just write down which changes the scope of business without what? Without बोलो affecting what? Affecting GC. GC means what? Going concern. Without affecting GC. Have you understood? Right now we are not discussing about liquidation. We are discussing any changes without liquidation. Got it? Example, sale of division, termination of division, closing of a business location, closing of one of the business location, or shifting of one location to another location. You want to shift from one business location to another location. This is also restructuring. Will change the scope of business. Now the question is that suppose this is what first year, this is what second year, this is the third year. Right now you have decided to close down the business. You have decided to close down. Actual closure will take place यहाँ पर. Actual closure will take place यहाँ पर. Understood? You have decided to close down the business. Understood? Actual closure will take some time. And whenever actual closure will be there, तो आपको some cost will be incurred which is directly related to closing down of the business. For example, you want to close down one factory, so you need to terminate the employee, so you need to pay some compensation to the employee which is directly related to that restructuring program. Understood? Have you understood? Means termination cost you are paying because of termination, na? Otherwise, you are not supposed to incur termination cost. Correct? So it means directly related to restructuring only. Correct? So suppose whenever there is an actual closure, so it is quite possible you are paying some termination compensation to whom? Employee. I've just given one example so that you can relate. Yes, some cost will be incurred due to restructuring. Some cost will be incurred due to restructuring which is directly related to restructuring. Now the question is, should we create provision here? Because this is reporting data. Normally we create provision on reporting date. Correct? So should we create provision for this cost which is directly related to restructuring? Question, have you understood? Restructuring, have you understood? We have decided to close down that business. Now should we create provision for this? What do you think? Yes or no? For loud. No, I have decided now. What? I have decided. Meeting happened. Resolution passed. Now okay. Directors meeting I called. Resolution passed. Now happy? More clarification from my side. I called all directors. Meeting happened. All directors said yes, we'll close down. No, of course we have taken decision. We'll close down. So we need to pay compensation to the employee. Na? Outflow is probable only because this all employee we cannot shift to some other job now because this factory is closed down. So they will terminate and they will need to leave the job only. Na? Are you able to understand? Because I am not opening another factory. I am not opening another factory. Suppose in my other factory already we have a lot of employees. So we cannot shift that employee to our other job within the company. Chalo, your point also I have cleared. Yeah, outflow is probable. Now okay. Bolo, yes or no? We should create provision, we should not create provision. We should create provision. Chalo, we should create provision. You said you should create provision. Correct? Now let us just try to understand. Just think logically, everyone. Suppose I have decided to marry a girl. I have decided, huh? Okay. Are you agreeing? Approval not received. Should I book future expenditure? Marriage expenditure? Huh? So decided does not mean we are committed. We are committed. So what India 37 says that, are you committed for that? Are you committed for that? For closing down the business. For example, I say that I want to close down my foundation business. And really 2, 3 year, 4 year before, I've already decided that I will not teach anywhere CA foundation. Correct now? But I have never done any public announcement that I will not teach. Why? Because I am not committed to that. Can I say if I'll come to Facebook and I will announce that I will not teach CA foundation, then I'm committed to that now. I have decided, but give me 20 lakh rupees for a batch, I will teach. Give me. If I receive 20 lakh per batch, I will teach or not? I will teach. Are you able to understand? I mean, same thing. One academy came to me that will you teach CA foundation? Will pay you this much amount. Amount was attractive, but I was so much busy that I have not gone for that academy. But amount was attractive. Amount was attractive, but I have some future obligations. So time was not matching. So I said no. Chalo, theek hai. Are you able to understand? But can I say I have decided? It does not mean I will not teach. I may teach. But when I have done public announcement for that, it means I am committed to that. I am committed to that. To what India's 37 says that if there is a commitment on this date, then create provision. Otherwise, do not create provision. Understood? Now we need to understand when that commitment will arise. Correct? So what India's 37 says, if all the three conditions are satisfied, first is what? Present obligation arising from past event. Second, outflow is probable. Third, reliable estimation can be made. Okay, second, third will be satisfied. Outflow is probable and estimation we can do. Only we need to understand whether the present obligation arising from past event. My question to you, this is a legal obligation or constructive obligation? This is a legal obligation or constructive obligation? Constructive obligation. So what India 37 says that if the constructive obligation exists on reporting date, recognize provision. And that will arise only because of commitment. So now we need to understand, when we'll understand, yes, the entity is committed to it. Committed to it. Understood the point? Correct? So what they have said, check correct. A provision for restructuring costs is required when recognition criteria of provisions are satisfied. Recognition criteria means how many conditions? Three conditions need to be satisfied. Three conditions need to be satisfied. Correct? A constructive obligation for restructuring arises when? Now they have given one more point. The constructive obligation for restructuring arises when two conditions are satisfied. Two more conditions are satisfied. First, entity has a detailed formal plan of restructuring. Detailed formal plan means first thing, resolution passed, directors meeting held, and we have done detailed formal plan for that. So of course when you have done meeting, so of course resolution is passed by detailed formal plan only. So first condition I have given, yes, meeting held and resolution passed. So first condition satisfied. Can I say meeting if you have decided, so thoda commitment is there na, but not full commitment. For full commitment, what they are saying, and understand what I am saying? So entity has a detailed formal plan for restructuring. First condition was entity has detailed formal plan for restructuring. Understood? Entity has detailed formal plan for restructuring and entity has started to implement such plan. Entity has started to implement such plan. Means suppose they have given a advertisement in newspaper for sale of that business to find out potential customer. It means they implemented such plan. Now we have done meeting and we are sitting silent. So can we sell the business? So it means we need to act on that now. We should search what potential buyer. For that we should do something. So suppose we have given some promotional activity for the sale of division in a newspaper, means we have started to implement such plan. We have started to implement such plans, means we are committed to that. It means we are committed to that. Or means what? Either this or this. Or announce the main features of restructuring plan to those affected by it, and we have done the announcement to those person who are affected by it. For example, we have gone to the factory and we have announced that thing to all the employee, all the creator, all the members, that we are going to close down the factory within 1 year, within 2 years. It means we are committed to that. It means we are committed to that. Means if in class I am doing such announcement, it means I am committed to that. Otherwise, I will never announce. Means if I am announcing that I will not teach CA foundation, so you will never send any CA foundation student to me, na? And therefore I have never announced this thing publicly anywhere. Let them come. I will say right now I am not teaching. The CA foundation I am not teaching. Initially I used to teach CA foundation, but I have never done public announcement for that. Correct na? हो सकता है. Life is uncertain. You can teach na anytime. Are you able to understand what I am saying? So therefore I have never done public announcement for that because I am not committed to that. Got it? So if these two conditions both the conditions are satisfied, then it means we are committed, it means there is a constructive obligation, and therefore we can recognize the provision for restructuring cost. So can you repeat with me? These two conditions are important, you should write down in exam. Important. So it means you need to retain this point. First point is what? Entity has a detailed formal plan for restructuring. And point number B is what? Entity has started to implement such plan or announce the main features of plan to those affected by it. Understood? Can I say 2 times, 3 times you read, it will be in your memory. Then revision will be required on a consistent basis. Got it? Now the question arises, what will be the amount of provision? What will be the amount of provision? So what they are saying, measurement of provision. What they are saying, a restructuring provision should include only direct expenditure, only those expenditure arising from what restructuring. Once again, incremental cost. Same thing we have done for onerous contract. Correct? Means we should create provision only for those expenditure which are directly related to restructuring, means only the incremental cost should be considered. Means any ongoing expenditure which is a part of the admin expense should not be considered for what? Restructuring provision. For example, just try to understand. Just try. You will do what? You will do. This is the actual termination. But can you say on this date some amount will be payable as salary for the past services whatever you have received from what employee? That amount might be payable. That amount might be payable, na? But can you say this is for what? This performance, these services. So should we also include salary as a part of provision for restructuring? Okay, that is an ongoing expenditure that will be paid only when the service is received. So for that you are not going to what? Uh, make a provision. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct. Direct expenditure arising from restructuring, which are those that are necessary entailed by the restructuring and not associated with the ongoing activities of the entities. Means ignore all the expenditure which are related to ongoing activities of the entities. Only means simple what incremental cost should be considered, which will be incurred only when that restructuring happened. Correct? Yes, sir. A restructuring provision does not include such cost. And we'll take some example. They have just given one clarification that restructuring provision will not include this. These are only clarification. Even though not given will not include. First, let us first read because I've already read. Retraining or relocating continuing staff. Retraining expenditure. Relocating the staff. Marketing activities. Marketing activities. Marketing. Investment in new system and distribution network. Suppose you want to change the method of production, so you need to close the first factory and then start a new factory. You need to do some investment for that. So any further investment new system, correct? Further investment for the new system. So restructuring provision will not include this. But why? Retraining expenses, relocation expenses, marketing expenses, any payment for further investment new system, why it will not be included? That is not. ये क्या बात है यार, गजब. These expenses relate to what? Future conduct of business. Same thing said. Yeah, these are dependent on future conduct of business. Whether we'll do retraining or not, whether we'll do relocation or not, that is all future conduct of business. That depends upon the future conduct of business. Whether we'll do marketing or not, these are all our what? Future conduct of business. Are you able to understand? Whether we'll do investment new system or not, this all depends upon the future conduct of business. Therefore, restructuring provision will not include such cost. So a clarification has been given. A clarification has been given. Future operating loss up to the date of restructuring. Correct now. So reporting date and actual happening. There may be some future operating loss. So should you will you consider future operating loss for the amount of provision? No, once again future operating loss is what? Based on future business, based on future business. These are clarification they have given. Already we know this point. We all know this point. Clarification given. Future operating loss up to the date of restructuring are not included in provision unless they relate to what? Unless they relate to onerous contract. If it onerous contract, then something different. Got it? Can you say once you have understood now any question you can Correct. Have you understood restructuring? These two conditions are important. Both the conditions need to be satisfied for creation of provision. A very good question have been asked. Can I read that question? Have been given in ICS study material. It will be for better understanding. Come to that question. 28. Till now in exam this question has not been asked. Correct? But expected. U Limited is a large conglomerate with a number of subsidiaries. It is preparing consolidated finance statement. It means this is a question of CFS. Consolidated finance statement. Can a CFS also will apply India 37? Can it taking all group company as a single entity? Okay. What happened? कहाँ हुआ? कहाँ हुआ? ऐसा कैसे हुआ? ऐसा कैसे हुआ? जैसे तुम यहाँ बैठा अब ब्रेक है तो क्या हुआ क्या है? कैसे स्टक हुआ? हम्म? कैमरा स्टॉप हो गया? Now come to question number 28, everyone. So question number 28 is a very good question. Not yet asked in exam. Expected. Expected. What is the question? U Limited is a large conglomerate with a number of subsidiaries. It is preparing consolidated financial statement as on 31st March 2018 as per the notified Ind AS. Now this question is for CFS because U Limited is preparing CFS. You can say Ind AS 37 will be applicable to CFS as it is applicable to standalone financial statement. Means when you are applying it to CFS, so all the group entity will be considered as what? One entity. Means we'll assume that all the group companies are one legal entity. That assumption we take in preparing what? CFS. Even though we have not started CFS because you have a base of CFS from C enter, therefore we can understand yes. Okay, whatever I am saying that is correct only? Yes, sir. The financial statement are due to be authorized for issue on 15 May 2018. Means this is the date of approval. Date of approval means AS4. AS4, correct now. So can I assume that you know AS4? Can I assume you know AS4 event occurring after balance sheet date? Adjusting, non-adjusting event? That is the only AS which you have understood actually. अरे बोलना रे. Correct? So I am assuming after this chapter we'll do Ind AS 10 only, that is nothing but AS4. So after this chapter immediately I'll come to Ind AS 10, but for this question I'm assuming that you have and you know about AS4. It's seeking your assistance for some transactions that have taken place in some of its subsidiaries during the year. Okay, sir. G Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of U Limited engaged in the management consultancy services on 31st Jan 2018. On 31st Jan 2018 is before reporting date. Correct. The board of directors and the BOT board of directors of G Limited decided to discontinue the business of G Limited from 30th April 2018. They made public announcement of their decision on 15th May. So before 31st March they have done public announcement. Means can I say they are committed? Means there is a constructive obligation arising from past event on 31st March. Means can I say we should create provision? But you should write down that two condition. If you write yes, they will not give marks. As per Ind AS 37, constructive obligation arises when these two conditions are satisfied. Understood? Correct. G Limited does not have many assets or liability, and it is estimated that outstanding trade receivable and payable would be settled by 31st May 2018. U Limited would collect any amount still owed by G Limited customer after 31st May 2018. They have offered the employee of G Limited termination payment or alternative employment opportunities. Correct now. Now can I say collection of debtor or settlement of payable is a ongoing activities? Is an ongoing activities now. So this should not be considered for restructuring provision. This point, this para, I hope you have understood by your own. Collection of debtor and payment of liability, that is an ongoing activities. So if there is some expected loss on debtor, then for that different Ind AS is applicable. So right now can I say we are not discussing about any expected loss on debtor because that is declining the value of asset. To Ind AS 37 is not applicable for that. Already I have discussed initially only, got it? But they have given employee termination payment or alternative employment opportunities. Either you terminate or we'll give you some alternative employment opportunities also. Correct? Yes, sir. Following are the some details relative to G Limited on the date of public announcement. It is on the date of public announcement means on we said on 15 Feb. It is estimated that G Limited that it would have to pay 540 lakh as termination payment to employee, and the cost of relocation of employee who would remain in the group within the group would be 60 lakh. Correct? Means what they want to say. We are doing which question? Question number 28. What is the reporting date? 31st March 2018. What is the public announcement date? 15 Feb 2018. On this date, what was the expected termination cost? 540. And what was the relocation cost? 60 lakhs. Understood? Whatever information given, we should write down and try to understand what they want to say. What is the date of approval? What was the date of approval? 15th? 15th May 2018. The date of approval. Now what they are saying? The actual termination payment totaling rupees 520 lakh were made in full on 15 May. 15 May means what? Before approval of financial statement? On or before approval of financial statement. The actual payment was done here only. Actual payment was done here. This is actual payment. How much? 520 lakhs. Correct? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. As per the latest estimate made on 15 May, the total relocation cost is 63 lakhs. But till now relocation has not been done. But they are expecting that it will be 62 lakhs. But this is 62, na? But they have said 63 lakhs. 63 lakh, but that is estimated cost. Understood? Yes, sir. Then the loss after tax of G Limited for the year ended 31st March 2018 was 400 lakh. Means for the current year, what was the actual loss? For the current year, what is the loss? What is the loss up to this date? Bolo? 400 lakhs. Correct? Then G Limited made future operating loss totaling rupees 60 lakh till 30th April 2018. 30th April 2018. What was this date? Actual closure. Decided to discontinue business on 30th April. Means 30th April they will actually discontinue. 30th April. This is the actual discontinuation date. So up to this date, what is the loss? Bolo? Means before approval of financial statement, we know the actual loss amount. Before approval of financial statement, we know what is the loss which will be incurred after reporting date. But before approval of financial statement, how much loss? अरे बोलना amount. How much loss? 60 lakhs. Correct? 60 lakhs na? Correct. Got it? Then what they have said? How should U Limited present a decision to discontinue the business of G Limited in his CFS in his consolidated statement of comprehensive income? Understood? This question has been taken from which book? International book. In India we call it statement of PL. Internationally we call it by statement of comprehensive income. Already I have said this point, huh? Correct? Don't be confused. We write on as per in SOPL only. Correct? As per India's, what are the provisions that a company is required to make as per India's 37? Beautiful question. I will say beautiful question. This question should be asked at CA final level. Easy question, but beautiful question. Till now not asked. They don't ask this type of questions. Beautiful question or not? Has been designed in such a way that only those students can do who have understood the concept. Only those students who have understood the entire concept that only they can give the correct answer. Let's see. First, I have already assumed that you know AS4. So you need to apply the concept of AS4 also. But first, let us think about India's 37. Should we create any provision for termination cost? Should we create any provision for termination cost? Yes, thank you very much. Correct answer. Should we create any provision for relocation cost? 100% correct. 100% correct. Should we create any provision for future operating loss? Future operating loss before approval of financial statement. Before approval of financial statement. That information you know before approval of financial statement. That loss happened before approval of financial statement. Should we create any provision for future operating loss? Yes or no? No. That loss happened before approval of financial statement. Should we create provision for future operating loss? Yes or no? No. Slowly your confidence decreases. Initially, no, and sound no. In exam also same thing will happen. We doubt about our answer. Initially, no, na. Everyone said no. Then I asked 3 times. I asked 3 times the same question. No. Your confidence decreases. You start doubting about your own ability. बोलना yes or no? So your initial answer was correct. Stick to your answer, na. Stick to your potential. I will try to confuse you at every point of time. Don't doubt about your ability. Initial answer is correct, stick to that. Will not create. Understood? Means your India 37 to you have understood. Whatever we have read, you have applied. Let us come to AS4. Correct? Means now let us mix with the AS4. So can you say this to will not think? Khatam, no provision to will not think. Termination cost, we should create a provision for 540 lakh or 520 lakh. 540 lakh or 520 lakh. 540, 520. Acha, how many are saying 540? Acha, no one is saying. How many is saying 520? Everyone is saying the 520 is correct. 520 is correct. Means you know AS4. Correct. However, it might happen you have given correct answer, then also you might not know AS4. So after this, we'll do India's 10. In India's 10, we'll actually understand whether you know AS4 or you don't know AS4. Correct. But your answer is correct. 520 is correct. Means we should create a provision of what amount? On which date? On 31st March 2018. Same answer is given. But you can see if you write down only these, you will not get marks. You can see they have given entire explanation. That two condition also has given. Correct now? Then they have given all the explanation about each para, about termination cost, relocation cost, future operating loss. Then they committed at the end 520 lakh. Can you see you can comment in your own words? Everything. Memorization is not required. But answer is correct. Understood. But can you retain all these points in exam? Same question will be asked. Huh? Correct. That retention is required. But good question. You have understood. Can I say restructuring also you have understood? Let us now end this topic. Scope. Scope. Normally scope is the first point of any index. But if I will do scope at the beginning, you will not understand why. Now you will understand whatever I will say. Scope. Index 37 is not applicable to executory contract unless on rest. Now you can understand or not. Initially, if I would have said, then I need to explain that time only executory, onerous, everything. So now you have understood it is not applicable to executory unless it is onerous. It is not applicable to financial instrument. Financial instrument is a separate chapter. I just write down it is not applicable to receivable because receivable as well as investment. Correct? So these are actually known as financial asset. These are known as financial asset. So any decline in the value of asset is not covered in this chapter. Already I have discussed where in contingencies explanation only. Correct? Income tax, even though yes, income tax provision for income tax will meet the definition of provision, but it is outside the scope of this chapter because we have specific Ind AS 12 for income tax. Correct. Then employee benefit, of course, employee benefit there might be some provision for employee benefit, but we have a specific Ind AS for employee benefit. Ind AS 19 coming soon in your life. So it might happen there is some provision required for employee benefit also, and that will meet the definition of provision, but then also it is not covered in this chapter. Why? Because there is specific Ind AS 19 for that. Insurance contract means any insurance contract done by insurance company. So there may be some obligation to pay in future. Correct now. So that obligation is actually covered where under Ind AS 104 outside the scope of this chapter, even though it may meet the definition of provision but will not apply Ind AS 37 in that. Why? Because Ind AS 104 is applicable. Good point is that this Ind AS is not in syllabus. Good na? बोलना है yes or no? This Ind AS 104 is not in syllabus. Why? Because for insurance company a new Ind AS is coming soon. Ind AS 117. Once it will come, it will become a part of syllabus. Huh? So become CA as soon as possible. Other you need to learn that also. Ind AS 117. Correct? So because of that reason we know that Ind AS 104 is going to be deleted soon. Therefore it has been deleted from syllabus only. And right now Ind AS is not applicable to insurance company. Right now Ind AS is not applicable for insurance company. That was also one of the objective why it is not covered under syllabus. Then contingent consideration arising in business combination. Business combination is separate dunya only, separate world. So whatever we do in business combination, for that we have a separate Index. Business combination means amalgamation. Amalgamation is one example for business combination, correct? So what we'll do in business combination, we have a separate index, index 103. So there may be some contingent payment, but that contingent payment is not covered where? Under index 37. For that we need to apply index 103. Scope, understood? Scope is not important because they will not ask direct question right on scope of index 37. But you should know it is not covered in this chapter. But can I say you will automatically understand when we do entire index? Because contingent consideration will do under Ind AS 103. So you will automatically understand that is covered under Ind AS 103. It is not covered where? Under Ind AS 37. Correct. Disclosure. The last point. Disclosure is also not important because they will not ask theoretical question exam write down disclosure. But there are some disclosure which may be asked in exam. So for that I will say yes, important, important, important. However, theory question they will not ask. Theory question they will not ask. Okay. So whenever I feel it is important, I will only say it is important from examination point of view. Correct. For each class of provision, a brief description of the nature of obligation. Write down the nature of obligation. Why you are creating that provision? What is the nature? Correct. An indication of uncertainties about the amount of timing. About the amount of timing of those outflow. Uncertainties regarding to you need to give an indication of uncertainties. The amount of any expected reimbursement, the amount of any expected reimbursement, stating the amount of any asset that has been recognized for that expected reimbursement. If you have recognized a separate reimbursement asset, the how much separate reimbursement asset you have recognized, that should be also disclosed. Otherwise, if you have not recognized an amount of reimbursement asset which is probable, that should be disclosed. Understood? For each class of contingent liability, a brief description of the nature of contingent liability. Write down the nature, why you are creating contingent liability, where practicable an estimate of its financial effects should be given. Means it can be measured, it may not be measured. If it can be estimated, you should give the measurement for that amount of contingent liability. An indication of uncertainties relating to the amount or timing of an outflow. Once again, indication of the extent that you should give. The possibility of any reimbursement. If there is any possibility of reimbursement for that contingent liability, that should be also given as a notes for disclosure. For each class of contingent asset, a brief description of the nature of contingent assets should be disclosed. An estimate of their financial effect. Means for that also estimation required. But normally Ind AS 37 is silent about estimation for contingent asset, but same principle we applied whatever we have done for provision measurement. Correct? Understood? So if it can be estimated, wherever practicable, we should also give the amount of that estimation. If it cannot be estimated, then only disclose the fact that there can be some contingent asset. Where any of the above information required is not disclosed because it is not practicable to do so, the facts should be disclosed. Means if you are not able to measure the amount, then facts should be given that we are nalayak and we are not able to measure the amount. Understood? Nalayak means nalayak. Understood? Correct? Done. Disclosure also done. Correct? So this are important for what? Practical purpose. What should be disclosed? Normally they don't ask a specific question about disclosure in exam. You should know as a chartered accountant. These are all points. Difference between India's 37 and 29. I have already said I will do the difference also. Even though from my point of view they will never ask a question based on difference. Before exam you can delete it. There is no need to rate. But practically you should know. Interview they can ask. Correct? Understood. So constructive obligation in AS 37 deals with constructive obligation, but AS 29 was silent. When I say AS 29 was silent, it means it is. I'm not saying it is not applicable. Means now entity will decide whether to create or not to create. AS 29 is silent. Apply your own judgment. So many entities creating as per AS also provision for constructive obligation, and many entities not creating because AS 29 is silent. It becomes judgmental factor then. Okay. Discount allowed if time value of money is material. But can you say normally in AS 29 we always recognize provision at undiscounted amount. So at undiscounted not allowed, but there is one exception to this rule. Only one exception is given. In that exceptional case, we need to do discounting only. That you have not done, I know. Correct now. But this also I will explain when I will do in AS 16. Means it might have been done under AS 10. But at AS 10 we'll discuss. Means when I come to India 16, that is property, plant and equipment. Automatically this point will be covered. Correct. Contingent asset require disclosure in financial statement, but as per AS29 require disclosure in the report of approving authority. Correct. Last point. These 3 points already I have discussing with Ind AS 37 only. Now onerous contract. Intensely this point I have not covered when I was doing Ind AS 37. What is this point? It requires recognition of impairment loss on the asset dedicated to such contract before applying any provision created as per Ind AS 37. So impairment loss till now we have not done. Correct now. So what they are saying? First create impairment loss, then create provision for what? Onerous contract. First create what? Impairment loss on that asset. Impairment loss on that asset. And balance will be the amount of what? Provision. So what they are saying, it requires recognition of impairment loss on the asset. Dedicated. तुम जा मना कर तुम जाने के लिए क्यों जा रहा है हम बैठ जाते हैं वहां पर now. So onerous contract, what I was discussing, that it requires recognition of impairment loss on the asset dedicated to such contract. Means in that contract if there is some asset, property, plant and equipment, first apply impairment loss as per Ind AS 36, then apply what? Ind AS 37, then you should create provision for what? Onerous contract. Okay, so automatically this point you will understand when we will do Ind AS 36. Correct now. So this impairment loss you will understand in respective Ind AS. Ind AS. Means right now we have done one question of restructuring, suppose. So there was a receivable. So in receivable there can be some impairment loss of that receivable. So that will be done as per what? Ind AS 109 coming soon. So any asset which are impaired, that will be impaired as per respective Ind AS. Are you getting what I am saying? That they want to say. However, AS 29 was entirely silent for this. Entirely silent for this. Correct? Correct. So these are some differences. With this we completed this chapter. Correct, but there are some questions we'll do so that it will help for better understanding. If I will not take question ना तो मजा नहीं आएगा ना. Okay, let us take some questions. This question 29 na you will do, but after Ind AS 10. After Ind AS 10. Or let us assume that you know Ind AS 10. Can we start? AS 4 तो you know. I can do it because it is a good question. During the year QA Limited delivered manufactured product to customer K. It's a good question till now not asked. Good question they don't ask in exam. Correct. The product were faulty and on 1st October 2016, customer K commenced legal action against the company claiming damages in respect of losses due to supply of faulty product. Understood? So who has filed a case against whom? K has filed a case against QA. Correct. Upon investigation, the matter QA has discovered that product were faulty due to defective raw material procured from supply F, and therefore on 1st December 2006 the company commenced a legal action against F claiming damages in respect of supply of defective raw material. Now who has filed case against whom? QA has filed case against what? F. QA Limited has estimated that its probability of success of both legal action, the action of K against QA Limited and action of QA Limited against F is very high. This para we need to understand English because English is a funny language. English is a funny language. We are doing which question? Question number 29. So there is one QA who has filed a case against QA K Limited and QA Limited has filed a case against F Limited. Now we are doing this question from whose point of view? Q's point of view, QA point of view. Correct? Now let us read that once again that para. What they are saying? QA Limited has estimated that its probability of success of both legal action, the action of K against QA Limited and the action of QA Limited against F is very high. My question to you all, for this case, the probability of success is high for whom? K or QA? K. Means can I say, here there is a probability of loss na? Probability of loss. Very good. And for the second case, who has a probability of loss? F. Means here probability of win. Here there is a probability of win. Understood, means correct. Got it. And can you see with the emotions of the question we need to understand this only. Because if there is a what win, so here it will be loss only. Both cannot be win and both cannot be loss. Understood this point? Correct. But this case was filed when? On which date? This case was filed on 1st October. 1st October 2016, na? And this case was filed on 1st December 2016. Correct. Means can I say we need to create a provision for first case in the books of QA Limited if all the conditions are satisfied? Correct. And because the probability is high, so there is a present obligation arising from past event, and of course outflow will be probable and estimation of course will be given the question. The provision we should create. And again for second case there will be reimbursement. For second case there will be a reimbursement because inflow there will be some inflow. Understood? Correct? Yes sir. On 1st October 2016, the QA Limited has estimated the damages it would have to pay to K would be 5 crore. The estimate was revised to 5.2 crore on 31st March 2017 and 5.25 crore on 15 May 2017. This case was actually settled on 1st June 2017 when the company paid damages of 5.3 crore to K Limited. Oh my god, they have given 4 amount. Correct? So what are they? First on 1st October, what was the estimation? 5 crore. Then on 31st March 2017, how much? 5.2 crore. Then 15 May they have given, na? 15 May 2017, how much? 5.25. Then actual settlement when happened? 1st June 2017, how much? 5.3. They have given all these dates. Correct? I don't know what. These two dates you have understood. This also you have understood. This also you have understood. What is 15.5 we need to understand. Of course, this will be date of approval. This will be the date of approval. Are you able to understand? Correct? Then on 1st December 2016, QL Limited has estimated that it would receive a damage of 3.5 crore. This estimate was revised to 3.6 crore on 31st March 2017 and 3.7 crore as on 15 May 2017. This case was eventually settled on 1st June and F paid 3.75 crore to QL Limited. Similar information. So 1st December, how much they have given? 1st December, amount is what? 3 crore. Then on this date, how much? 3.2. Then on this date, how much? 3.5. Achha, you don't have. It is how much? 3 point. Initially it was 3.5.
3.5 then 3.6. You are saying like this only, na? मजा आ रहा है आपको. 3.6. Then it become what? 3.75. 3 point. Then it become 3 point. Actually paid how much? 3.6. Actually paid 3.6. Okay. These are the information given. Then they have given in his financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2017 provided rupees 3.6 crore as the financial statement were approved. Achha, this para what they have given. One second, I will read. QA Limited in his financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2017 provided rupees 3.6 crore as financial statement were approved by the board of directors on 26 April. So 26 April is the date of approval. Oh. So this is the 26 April is the date of approval. Correct? Have you understood? This is the entire question. So can you see if 26 April is the date of approval? This is bakwas information. This is bakwas information, na? This is information not required only. Now the question is that we should create provision or we should not create provision. Yes, we should create provision by what amount? We should create provision by what amount? Bolo. We should create provision by what amount? 5 or 5.2? 5.2? Correct. 100% correct, because of course on 31st March we'll do estimation. On 31st March we'll do estimation. Correct. If this is the date of approval, suppose if I change the question and 15.5 is the date of approval, then your answer is what? 5.2 ki 5.25? 5.25. Very good. But now as per the question it is 5.2 only. Now should we create a separate reimbursement asset? Should we create a separate reimbursement asset? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Probability is very high. Probability is very high means highly probable. अरे बोलना रे, highly probable, but highly probable does not mean virtually certain. Highly probable does not mean virtually certain. Can I say 90% is also highly probable, but it is not virtually certain? Therefore you can't say yes. You can't say yes because they have not given virtually certain term. Means the first preference is that we will not create any reimbursement asset. Now if you have a doubt about that, you can write down yes, if it is virtually certain we should create a separate reimbursement asset. But they have never said it is virtually certain. It is highly probable. Highly probable does not mean it is virtually certain, na? Correct. It means no separate, no asset will be recognized. No asset will be recognized. Understood? This was the answer. What they have asked. Let's see what they have asked. Whether the company is required to make provision for the claim. Whether the company is required to make provision for the claim from customer K as per applicable Indians. If yes, please give the rationale for this. Yes, provision required because all the conditions are satisfied. If yes, if the answer to A above is yes, what is the entry to pass in the books of account? They have given three journal entry choice. PL account debit to current liability, PL account debit to non-current liability, PL account debit to current liability. Can you see because it is payable within 12 months, it is a current liability. So provision can be current, provision can be non-current. What is current, what is non-current will do under Ind AS. But can you see basic knowledge, you know, if the amount is payable within 12 months. So which answer is correct? Point number A or point number B or point number C? A. Amount is 5.2 na. So this point number A is correct. What will be the accounting treatment on the action of QA Limited against supply F as per the applicable Ind AS? So what you will do? Will you create any separate asset? No separate asset because there is no virtual certainty. What they have given, let's see. As per Ind AS 7, QA Limited shall not recognize a contingent asset. Shall not recognize a contingent asset. What English is wrong. Shall not recognize a asset. Because we will never recognize a contingent asset. Their English is not correct. So we should write down we will not recognize any asset because we cannot recognize what? Contingent asset. Correct? Here the probability of success of legal action is very high, but there is no concrete evidence which makes the inflow virtually certain. Hence, it will be considered as contingent asset only and shall not be recognized. Understood? After that, if you have a doubt, we can make what? If suppose there is a virtual certainty, we can recognize the amount as a contingent asset, as a asset, separate asset. That you can write down. Alternative answer. But this is the first preferred answer. Understood? Either it will mention or they will give some indication that yes, it is virtually certain. Correct? They'll give some para from which you'll automatically understand it is virtually certain. But it is not given, nothing is given. Therefore, they have written that there is no concrete evidence for the virtual certainty of inflow. Question is silent about that. So what is the better assumption? You only say. What is the better assumption? Question is it is highly probable. Highly probable does not mean it is virtually certain. But it will go as per the flow of the question. Go as per the flow of the questions. Correct? I think balance all questions you can do. Because now what maximum I can do, I can read the questions and then I will explain that. But I hope you have understood that all the questions you are only solving. I am reading on your behalf. Now I am reading means I am only wasting the time. Correct now? You can read, you can understand. Bolna re. You can read, you can understand. But there was one question where was chalo. Question number 4. A lot of doubt came in question number 4. So I'll discuss this question, then I'll wind up. X Sugar Limited has entered into a sale contract of 3 crore with Y Chocolate Limited for the supply of sugar during 2001-2002. As per the contract, the delivery is to be made within 2 months from the date of the contract. In case of failure to deliver within schedule, X Limited has to pay compensation of 30 lakh to Y Chocolate. Correct? Y Chocolate Limited. So X Sugar Limited has entered into a sale contract. Understood? Correct. During the transit, the vehicle carrying the sugar made accident and X Sugar Limited lost the entire consignment. It is however covered under insurance policy. According to report of the survey, the amount is collectible subject to a deductible clause of 15% of the claim in the insurance policy. The cost of good loss is 2 crore 50 lakh. So they will reimburse how much? 2 crore 50 lakh into what? 85%. This you can calculate. Correct? And what is the compensation? Compensation is what? 30 lakh. Before the financial year end, X Sugar Limited received an informal information from the insurance company that the claim has been processed and the payment has been dispatched for 85% of the claim amount. So before the financial year end, some information came that claim has been processed and they have dispatched 85% of the amount claim. Meanwhile, Wild Chocolate Limited has made a demand of 30 lakhs since the goods were not delivered on the time. So they demanded what? 30 lakh. So once again, this is a question of what? Reimbursement. So first, should we create a provision? How much? Should we create a provision? How much? 30 lakh. Can I say in this too? No doubt. Provision, no doubt. Correct. Should we create a separate asset for reimbursement? Should we create a separate asset for reimbursement? Bolo. Yes or no? Huh? Normally, every student, even I am a student, I will say yes. As a student, I will also say yes. Correct. But the answer is no. Why? Read the question. Before the financial year end, X Sugar Limited received an informal information. Oh my god. Informal information means this is not an official information. It's not an official information, na? Are bolna re? Nothing has been received officially. Informal, some employee came, are you receive, I'll give, I am there for you. Normally the agent will come and they will say like that. Are you getting? It is an informal information, na? So whether there is any virtual certainty? There is no virtual certainty. Means with this word we'll understand actually there is no virtual certainty. There is no virtual certainty and therefore as per the information given the question will not recognize any asset. However, disclosure is required because amount is probable. We can say yes, amount is probable, but what? It is not virtual certainty of inflow. Understood? And they have given that only, I think so. What they have given? So X Limited will need to disclose the contingent asset at the end of financial year. It would also make a provision of 30 lakh towards the claim of Y Chocolate Limited. Understood? So what you should do? I've already forwarded you the soft copy of this question bank. Correct now. So by today, if you can complete all the questions, then tomorrow we can discuss any doubt. From my point of view, 2-3 question doubt will come. 2-3 question doubt will come, and intentionally I am not discussing that you only read first doubt. Let us create a doubt. If I will answer now, so the doubt you have actually not created. So first let us create doubt and then we'll explain that. Correct? Understood? You do only what? The question from ICS study material, RTP, MTP and exam. Don't do any question from other sources right now. And if you have time, do all the questions. If you have limited time, do only questions of what? ICS study material, RTP, MTP, etc. Correct? Then if you have time, you can do entire question. Correct? So for today, this much only. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Enjoy your remaining day. Bye bye.